closer, but time is not in his favor. He has a challenge to shotgun close, and Wood's gonna get it!
Do some damage. Nikolai from the backside! Finds them again! It would be a big one. He's finding the first. Can he find it? Swinging in!
What? Left in a 1v3. Make that a 1v2. Make that a 1v1. Oh my goodness, Nitro Cell out. And who's gonna stop him?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Playdate number 2, I suppose, of SCS Season 6, out of the qualifiers and, well, into the regular season. I'm Lynx, joined by Benny. And Benny, I don't want to brag, potentially dunk on my other talent, but I feel like tonight we got the sweet part of the deal in terms of the matchups that we get to watch and cast.
Yeah, it sucks I can't be here for the second one, but for the first one and the second one, doesn't matter. It's still, as you would say, I feel like this is really good matchups for the week, and I'm excited to see how it plays out. I really am.
Oh yeah, by the way, for context, Benny will be unfortunately departing after the second series because, he's an adult with a job he has to work early in the morning.
I wish Schaefer worked here. Come on.
That's fair. But anyways, let's talk about the groups that we're focusing on tonight. Let's look at all the teams that are competing, specifically the ones that we have going on tonight. As I'm sure you all are aware of, at least our first match, it's Investigation File versus Team Mystic as the first matchup we have tonight. But for Group C overall, we also have Karn & Co. and Okami. So in terms of teams, actually, vast majority, 3/4 are CL teams, either, on varying ends of the leaderboards. IF, obviously, the playoff team. Karn & Co. and Okami, not so much so. We have Team Mystic as the only T3 team. And Benny, I think probably without question, you can make an argument for number 1, but I think Team Mystic alongside Surf are an easy top 2, not just for SCS, but just for amateur and underage teams as a whole. So for anyone to be in this group, glad it's Mystic to stack up to the CL competition.
How about, so you name any player on these teams, they're known throughout the entire community, whether it be for good or bad things, really, but they are literally known for the entire community for their mechanical skill and what they've done in other leagues. So I'm definitely interested to see how these play out. And, Okami make their way through, even though we were wrong about them during our qualifiers. I'm interested to see how they play out, because they are a CL team, but they are a very different team now.
That is true. They are a very different team. I'm excited to see how they shape up and will develop as well. But for our other matchup of tonight, specifically the slice we will get from the Group D pie, as you will see, our second matchup is Wichita Wolves versus Surf Esports, the other, at a bare minimum, top 2 T3 team that I just mentioned a few seconds ago. The other 2 teams are Nocturnes and Aerial Academy. Just so you're reminded, that's not the Aerial Academy that had like Og and Uzi on it. This is the one with Dami, Hypers, Frozen that qualified through the second qualifier. So that is who we have as our Group D. And Benny, Wichita Wolves versus Surf. Again, I said at the top of the show how I think these are the best matchups, but I hope everyone can truly understand how lucky we were about to see IF versus Mystic and a Wichita Wolves versus Surf all in one night. I mean, this is going to be a good night for Siege.
It could be considered the cream of the crop for the entire season, but same point,
absolutely.
hey, we'll wonder if we'll see that maybe again in the playoffs or something like that. But same point, yeah, dude, the fact that we see Surf versus Wichita Wolves, they're not done the greatest season in stage 3, but they're still looking interested with having Reed back on the team.
Well, we're not unfortunately there yet, Wichita Wolves Surf, though it is one of my most anticipated matchups of the entire season. We have IF versus Mystic up first, which, at least for me, Benny, is also right up there with matchups that I am eager to see how these two teams face up. IF especially, because if you recall, they looked in tip-top shape during CL playoffs, and we all thought, they're at the zenith. They are at the mountaintop. We are watching them play the best Siege they played, even though they didn't make it as far as they wanted. They looked even better during SI quals. With this same core 5, they're all sticking together. If Subarctic's power doesn't go out, in all likelihood, they're fighting for closed quals alongside Parabellum. And of course, one of the big key factors that we saw was their ability to shut down offsite aggression. And the reason I mentioned that is because, as Benny will talk about with Mystic, there's plenty of aggression and plenty of mechanically talented players on Mystic, but where IF shined, especially in their game against Two-Face during SI quals, was shutting down those roams, not just pushing them back to site, but getting a kill as well. And that was one area of the team where they were good, but now they look even better.
I totally agree. The fact that they've gotten their basics down at this point, and they've really shown that as a team, they know their basics, they play well as a team, they hold off flanks, and they just push objectives so well now. Compared to the beginning of stage 3, we had so many criticisms about them, especially when we saw the Oregon. Like, it's entirely, not entirely different, but it's just a much more polished team compared to stage 3. So we'll start here with stage 3. We have Mystic, though. Team Mystic, the one we talk about, the team of Tones, Gunner, Sweater, Nuez, and Doc. These members, these amateur players, have been known for their aggression, known for their mechanical skill. And their sheer mechanical skill is what worries us, though, because sure, we've talked about the fact that, that IF have really stopped people from roaming, have been able to shut down roams. But are they going to be able to do about these players? Are they going to do it against Gunner, for God's sakes, who in the end of rounds, when everything's against him, has been able to pull out a frag out of a hat in 1 rounds that he should not, I say should not, but really we thought would never win.
No, I'll go that far. I have definitely seen him get kills and win rounds he definitely should not have, just because he's that talented of a player. And he's got Newers and Sweater on the roster as well. It's going to be a very tall order for IF, despite how good they are. But we have 2 amazing teams that I think will match up very well and provide a very entertaining match. But will we have a very entertaining arena for our teams to fight on? Clubhouse banned out first. That makes my soul very happy. And while we are starting on Oregon, and I can already hear Harrison sighing at the first map being Oregon, I think this is good, because IF have shown very good improvements over the course of their history. Oregon was a map that they looked pretty good on to start out CL Stage 3. Still had quite a few weaknesses, as you mentioned. But based on the improvements they've made as a team, I'm excited to see this first map, but it is Mystic's pick. But the second one, Benny, we're going to Bank. And we can talk about the decider later, but Bank was a map where IF, I think, surprised a lot of us with what they were capable of doing, even during losses.
I definitely agree. It was just like we thought we were scared, because IF's attacks in the beginning were very slow. They were very, they're methodical. But at the same point, they took too long, and we were scared about that on Bank. But even when they take too long on Bank, they still get it done every single time on those rounds on Bank. And despite there being 15 seconds left, no time left, they'll execute perfectly. People in the right positions to deny all of the flanks, all of the attackers, or all of the rotates from the defenders, I mean. And so, yeah, I'd love to see Bank. Oregon, though, I agree. Oregon's going to be interesting to see how much they improved. But at the same point, because it's Oregon, how much of that aggression from Mystic is going to come out? How much are we going to see? A lot.
I really think the weakest map in that 3-map selection right now for IF, at least specifically, is Oregon. But going to Bank after, and then Cafe, and we all know how good they were on Cafe. We saw the clinic they put on against Parabellum and any other team that took them there. I don't know. I think this will be a close one. I certainly think Mystic can pull it out. But for IF, looking pretty good after that map selection. Let's see if everyone else on the talent pool agrees with my assessment, though. Because I actually believe, contrary to popular belief and my own points, I guess Mystic, because I mean, Benny, I feel like out of the both of us, I'm always the one that's like, yeah, you guys can do it. The amateur team, we've got this. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse, but I'm always there.
I might have changed it based on the map pool, but for this map pool, I think IF's gonna win this.
That makes sense.
These 3 maps. If it was like something like, I guess like Coastline Chalet or something like that for the other 2 or something like that, then I would have been like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think especially with the map pool, in my opinion, while I did predict Mystic and we obviously are split, I think it's a little bit too close to call. Not just, even though I mentioned that IF are looking pretty good with the map selection, it's also not maps that I doubt that Mystic are good on. They've certainly played Cafe, done well. Oregon's their map pick. They're going to be comfortable on it. This is going to be an extremely close one. Of course, I'm praying it's not a 2-0 after that. Either way, I hope this goes to 3 maps. But we are in store for a hell of a series based on those maps, based on these teams, and also just because I actually haven't casted this Mystic roster. I don't think I actually casted them at all during qualifiers, so this is...
I've never casted them.
This is not only going to be a new experience for Benny and I, but one that is very exciting because of just how well that team likes to play when they get into gunfights and positions.
Yeah, dude, I'm about to see. I'm expecting like a crazy Oregon. People are jumping out. People are going for kills off the bat.
Maybe not jumping out, but definitely crazy, I hope. Hope it's something.
Hey, that's what you want to see. That's what I want to see out of this, because this is like, otherwise it's like, it's boring. Oregon is really boring. I don't want to see them sitting.
Yeah, and we also mentioned that IF, are a team that they aren't the most flashy, but they do the basics really well. If there's any team who can make them spice it up a little bit, it's going to be Mystic. I imagine we'll have something in store. But as you can see, we're starting to get into the match. We have the operator ban phase coming up. But with both of these teams, I don't imagine we'll see anything too crazy out of the ban phase. Of course, they go along with a lot of the traditional favorites. The Thatchers, the hard breaches, and especially because it's Oregon, we're going to see one of them taken off the board first. But Nomad gone. Not an uncommon ban, but not one I've actually seen in quite a while, or any team for that matter.
Think I may have seen it during CL at one time, but that was only like one time. And that's interesting too, because we talk about aggression, and IF are the ones to ban on something to help them on their attack, though they aren't attacking first per se, but it is helping Mystic to, use that aggression later on. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this goes out. Mirror ban, Thatcher ban. same old. The question is, will Valkyrie still be available? That's the kind of big one here.
I imagine against a team like Mystic, IF are going to have to get Valkyrie on the board. They haven't run it quite a bit historically either, so it's not like a PB situation where like, ooh, do we want to leave that up? We'd like to use it. I mean, it's not that IF won't run it. They certainly will run Valkyrie if she's up, but against a team like Mystic, and it's not a core of their lineup, yeah, IF, it's going to be the fourth ban to round out, and not at all a surprising one. So going forward, I think the Nomad ban, I wouldn't say it was necessarily super surprising. I'm not like shocked, but I will say having all hard breach options on the board, you have that Maverick, you have that Hibana, you have quite a few options at your disposal, even if, say the defense brings a Cade.
Yeah, I'd say it shouldn't be too crazy to try and deal with those things. You can bring anything you want. You can bring the Maverick, bring the Kaid, bring the the Ace and the Hibana and try and open those walls. So it shouldn't be a problem, opening walls upstairs if you were to go for the upstairs take. We'll see how it goes out first. We're going, of course, we're going downstairs first. And of course, they're bringing Hibana and a Maverick out as we start out.
Yep.
Let us see how this goes out.
Makes sense. You have that Maverick up, of course. They see the Cade. IF reveal it. Since Thatcher's off the board, you need that Maverick if you want to open likely 2 of these hatches in order to move downwards into the basement. Hibana as well, not only to allow for opening up of the third hatch, the one that isn't Cated, but also potentially, say, opening up the bunker wall if it's fully reinforced, opening up the E-box panel. You see Giddy reinforcing in order to deny play on that doorway. You're going to need those 2 hard breaches for a wide variety of reasons. Beyond that, the attackers aren't too crazy, and same goes for the defense as well. No, not anything too wild coming out for these lineups for either teams. Maybe because of the Nomad ban, we'll see Inrio or Giddy get a little bit more aggressive up these stairwells. It's not truly characteristic of IF. They do sometimes when they play offsite, like to have ready avenues to rotate back, but with the Nomad off the board, you have that option to go for more, and Mystic don't exactly have any direct flank watch besides those drones, so there's ever an opportunity. This one's a good one, and Subarctic appears to at least be taking advantage of it for the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, I've not casted Mystic much at all, so I'm interested to see how their drone game is and if they can drone out these roamers from IF. But yeah, usually when we see IF do get aggressive, usually it's not for very long, and if there is any pressure, they tend to back off. Usually in the past, we've seen Oregon IF, it's usually just they sit usually on site most of the time, but usually Gunner first already pushing straight into big tower, does spot Inrio. Inrio shoots the drone, and now behind him is Gunner, but Gunner looks like he's maybe waiting for a second, they're still droning out other members. And yeah, so far all the members of IF have just put some barricades up, maybe put a little bit of annoyance in the way of Mystic, but otherwise there's no real aggression from this team when it comes to holding that first floor. They're back on site waiting. What is the game plan for Mystic?
No, and of course this will give quite a bit of free map control to Mystic. Not completely free. They do still have to cut through those electric claws, but this is standard IF from what we've seen so far. They play their strategy extremely well. They're not one to be like, hey, let's catch a team off guard, let's do something crazy. They're like, no, we have our game plan, we like it, we don't like to deviate from it much, and it usually works very well for them when they do this, when they all just push back to site. I can think of, especially first game of the season, last stage, Benny, basically they would just do this exact strategy and slaughter anybody that tried to push in through Freezer or Laundry, but in this case, looking at Freezer, that's where Mystic are looking to make their first play. Haven't opened that hatch up yet, still half the round left, so plenty of opportunity to do that without losing too much on time. The real question is, have they accounted for and can they deal with players of IF, all 5 of them, waiting for the push to come out?
Yeah, this is you're gonna expect some kind of diversion or some kind of backwards play that you're not expecting, like Doc here on the on the back tower stairs. This is the play, like almost like qualifiers when Pack Red jumped down E-box hatch. That's kind of the play you're expecting to make this, because once you go for this Laundry Freezer take, it can be difficult if they're playing the cross though. But actually, IF is backing off. Nobody's playing that Laundry rotate or the Laundry machines themselves, so it's easy for Norris here to go out, push through into Freezer and have no problem really. So at this point, it seems like IF are worried about that big tower side, but that's allowing for Mystic to aggress further and take control of Laundry, take control of Freezer, though they aren't really pushing forward for that control at the moment.
We're still 40 seconds left. Pressure on both Laundry and Freezer. It's likely coming through at any moment with 3 nades left as well, and 3 members of IF all stacked up on top of each other. It's not a nade or utility that gets the first pick. One is caught. It's getting to get the first frag onto Sweater. One of the players at bottom Laundry. Subarctic tags on for 2, and finally there's an answer back, but it's still Mystic predominantly on the back foot. Vivid even pushes up, trying to get aggressive, and no, can't even get the next one onto Newers. A nice flick by Vivid, a nice round by IF to set the pace.
I was scared at first seeing that, seeing as there's a lot the members weren't playing that laundry machine side for the cross into freezer. They were playing, of course, the closet. There was someone in the back of freezer, and I thought with that, maybe if someone out there, that Mystic could advance, could push forward and try and take control of freezer. But it seemed like Mystic may have stalled out a little bit there without that, that diversion or misdirection or somebody playing for a flank. They're just kind of walking into a wall that IF had put up, and IF were expecting that point. Mystic just unfortunately just walked into it and could not win those gunfights that IF were waiting for and knew exactly what was happening. So we go on to our next side of upstairs, kids and dorms for IF. And yeah, as I said before, it's just that they know what they're doing. They have these strats down to a T, and it's really difficult to go toe for toe when what they're expecting.
They just play so well off of each other when they're all in close proximity on that site. They know how to work those angles. They know how to work around the push the attack is giving. It's always a sight to see, and that was definitely... The first round was a very good example of what we were talking about before the show and also setting up in that round. Next up, moving to dorms, we'll see... whenever I see these ops, I always wonder if we're going to see a bit more of that I don't know if Parabellum coined it, but it's definitely the first time I saw it, where you open up the left panel of that master bedroom wall, put in a Rooney gate on it, and the smoke will usually focus on sending out toxic canisters just to try and deny the push in from master bedroom. Don't believe we're seeing it yet, as that's not what... I think Arrow's actually reinforcing that wall, but we do see a reinforcement made inside of Attic as well to allow for a bit more fluidity inside of that map and an extension down below. So not at all anything different than what we've seen previously. This is very standard. You have the mute playing down below or somebody playing down below in security. You can get aggressive inside of Attic, but if you need to fall off, that hole is ready and waiting to push all the way back into pit.
Yeah, this doesn't seem crazy, really. It's just, I guess the only crazy part is some Arctic playing maybe below for someone to go through a bunker. Maybe he's expecting someone from Mystic to do something like that. But otherwise, really, yeah, this is the same old, having someone security, 2 people downstairs or 1 person downstairs to hold off the big window if they go for that play. And I'm assuming now Mystic will push forward to try and close off and try and deal with Giddy downstairs. But I guess with some Arctic below, he can reconvene up those feature stairs to help out Giddy in the situation, knowing that Mystic are going for a clear. So they can maybe do a big window white take if that's the case. Though Arrow, he's pushed up the armory, maybe to hold on armory stairs. It is interesting that he's extending kind of by himself there for the moment. Not sure how long he will be there, but so far it looks like a lot of people are back to actually Dog's downstairs. He may be looking for some Arctic, knowing that he's below.
And Subarctic doesn't at all appear to be aware of the player sprinting down through basement. No, unfortunately, gets caught off guard. There is a player on top of the big tower stairs inside of T2 to refrag, but as Gunnar, I believe, joins his position, or Sweater, sorry, it's Sweater, actually, who joins his position, Enro is likely going to have to fall back, and this opening pick will not be traded. He is still playing there, playing for Intel, and actually, instead... He's fighting this. He wants to try and maybe land a pick here, do a little bit of damage, and Nade sails up, but it's far away from Enrio. Doesn't have to be worried about any kind of damage whatsoever. But for Mystic right now, not getting too aggressive. There's still time to not only hold this, but play for the intel if you want. I like how they're playing this. They're not getting too crazy with a pick onto Giddy as well. You've taken out the security player. A big window white plane is looking real sweet right about now.
Yeah, that was a great shot right there. Open up the wall and pre-fired it directly where you'd expect the Giddy to be. They probably had info on his position. So great job from Mystic so far with their intel with the drones. Got it with another kill on Arrow too. So I didn't even know Arrow was one. Where was Arrow actually? Arrow was the Ella by Armory actually. Is he the trophy or armory? Yeah, so it's on that side. So they're picking off these isolated players on the side of IF, and they're doing extremely well from Mystic's side. Enrio has to return to site, but Vivid's in a 1v5 on site.
Yeah, well, 1 HP as well. This is looking like Enrio might be in the actual 1v5, but he's slowly rotating back, but unfortunately for Vivid, there was just simply no way he was coming away with that. A flawless round to end things out, and that was, if it was a beautiful defensive round for IF, that was another gorgeous one coming out for Mystic. Early on, all 3 of their entries, we had Doc, Sweater, and I believe it wasn't Tones, but there were 3 players all probing for infra on the other side of the map, and they just played off it perfectly.
I would say, yeah, they literally found out where Sub was. They found out he was below, gets rid of him immediately. They take out Subarctic, I believe, not Subarctic, I can't remember the names anymore for God's sakes. Enrio far out, not Enrio, it was a Giddy off far off, or Arrow off far off the site too. So it's like the fact that they're able to get rid of 3 players early that were isolated, Giddy below playing security. You had Arrow elsewhere out by Army or Trophy isolated as well. It just kind of fact that they found every single isolated player, were able to just one by one take them out perfectly, one at a time. Great job from Mystic. It's just that's the thing that I don't know about. I don't know how well their intel is, and it just seems so far. Their drone work on Oregon seems perfect from that round.
Based on that round, it was a Very nice to look at, very beautiful to see. Next round, we see some switch-ups for IF. Subarctic rotating off the Urini to the Cade, Arrow switching from the Ela to the Goyo, Giddy and Vivid also exchanging roles, so I'm interested to see if they go for the same setup from below and stick Vivid inside of security instead of Giddy. I'm not too sure because right now it's looking like this is going to be as close to a bunker as you can get. I don't know if they'll go the exact same attic roam. They have left that left panel unreinforced. Don't know if they're going to send one over to do it. Giddy and Vivid are both preoccupied making other rotate holes at the moment down into security, so might see them instead reinforce that left panel and not push inside of attic. Could change, but it's definitely going to be a lot more packed on the site this go around.
Well, Newer takes a bit of damage from that armory window. Looks as a pre-fire from Arrow. He's looking to get aggressive once again on the main door. Looking for a kill, but he'll miss someone's feet. Jumping on the master balcony. Another player will pick him out, but he's getting shot through the armory window. Great shots, great pre-fires from Gunner as well. And now Arrow's left on low HP. He'll probably return to site. And this is pretty much a bunker for the site. And now that the aggression, I'm assuming no other player is aggressing except for Inrio's on T3. Does he have a way to return back to site?
I imagine they've again left that left panel, put a rotate hole in it, likely a shotgun rotated over to allow Inrio this avenue back to the site. If he's just sitting there, that is a very ballsy play and also very risky based on how we've seen Mystic, in the past couple rounds effectively dispatch or damage anybody who is pushed even slightly too far off the site. Arrow finally gets his comeuppance for that earlier aggression. Gunner can just swing in, take him down since the Goyle was on 1 HP, and a C4 wasted by Vivid as well. And another little bit of potentially over aggression. Inrio finally does get Gunner. I believe Vivid actually might have been baiting his attention to make sure Inrio gets that kill, but we talked about pulling frags out of a hat, Benny, and that might be the best example of the sheer capability of Gunner in those situations.
Obviously, yeah, Gunner just walks in, takes one, and leaves. After getting in, he tries to walk away from that fight and gets cut off by Inrio because he's playing T3. But they've opened the wall. Looks like they open a part of it, though. Looks like a 2-4, just a little hole into that game's wall. Inrio is trying to hold off an attic, and now the question is, without anybody in Big Tower, it's kind of becoming a one-sided attack here from Mystic. So someone from Mystic will have to go for a different play. Looks like Sweater and Doc may be ready for a walk-up white to try and create that diversion, create that misdirection that IF aren't expecting. Maybe Suartic is expecting. He's watching this white stairs for the moment. Giddy's looking for below as if someone walks in the kitchen, maybe try and grenade him from below, like I think previously happened in the last round. But at this point, Nuaz is just kind of here by himself, looking for someone over aggressing on the side of IF.
Again, they have a lot of options. Sure, they've lost Gunner, and they can't really move through that bedroom wall, but they've opened up those angles, so if Newers even wants to push in through the trophy doorway, he can, but I imagine it's mainly going to be Sweater and Doc both pushing up white. Mainly Sweater right now is actually Doc's rotated the big window, and that prong of their attack on white stairs falls. A smoke grenade also chokes the life out of Newers. It's only Tones and Doc left. The first push is in, or the big window player does. He finds two, and he just looks away right as Giddy takes the fight. He's got one smoke canister left, so depending on if he plays this passively, he might be able to make something happen. Tones losing a lot of HP. Don't entirely know what that was from. But both him and Doc setting up for a pinch, beautifully executed by the attack as they take 2 rounds in a row.
Ooh, yeah, that started out so well already from Mystic, getting 2 kills on Gunner's side, 2-for-1 deal from Mystic. And then sure, at first it was a one-sided attack, but they understand that. They're like, okay, we gotta stay for a different play. So going up white, sure, the white players have, but allows for Doc to jump through that big window, get 2 kills, put themselves in the in a 1v3 at that point, 1v2 from at that point too. And then they double swing off of each other to finish the round. So Mystic, not only are they doing great in the early round, but when mid-round to late round, when they're not just rushing when they have the man advantage, they're not pushing through too quickly. They take a second, they think about it, and they are making great adjustments in those last last minute or so.
So still looking not terrible for IF, but Mystic getting those 2 rounds in a row. Of course, it is their map pick, but of course, if you lose 3 in a row here, yeah, it's whatever. But especially with this being Mystic's map pick, they're looking to run up as many rounds on these attacks as they can. And with 2 wins on dorms, they can get another one here on basement. They are looking very good going towards the side swap, even though after this, there'll still be 2 rounds remaining. If they can get that 3rd attacking win on the board on the other primary side of IF, where they also look very good on, the very good precedent or trend to set those final 2 rounds. For IF, they don't appear to be doing anything far too differently. I believe we see Arrow rotating at the Ela, which I don't believe he was playing previously. And one massive change is the lack of a Cade. No Cade from IF, and that means that Mystic can get those hatches a lot quicker than they were to previously. Tones can just use all the X-Kairos if he wants. Might still see Gunner use his torch a little bit, but the clear upstairs was already fairly quick because of the lack of manpower or presence by IF. Now, those hatches will be opened even quicker because of the lack of a Cade.
Yeah, last time Mystic didn't elect to even open the E-box hatch, which when they come to that misdirection or maybe a diversion or a flank from the side of Mystic, the only choice they had was either go bunker or go big tower stairs, which you saw, I think Doc last time tried to do big tower stairs last time, but couldn't get anything done with that. So this time I wonder if they're still going to go for that laundry feeder take and then try and have someone go down to meet E-box or go through bunker, go through big tower and create a play. Depends, though. It looks like there is some more pressure on the bunker big tower side this time. You see him droning out. Inrig gets droned out by Gunner coming through T3 maybe for the moment. Looks like he's pre-firing that T2 window. See if we get scare Inrio, scare him back down the stairs. It looks like he'll walk down, not take any fights for the moment, but maybe expecting someone to aggress through Green Hall instead.
Well, if that is his instincts, he would be correct. This Doc is not even creeping. He is sort of fast jogging over to that position, and we are watching the stairs, but this is the exact kind of discipline that we've seen from Mystic in the past couple rounds. They get to the point where they can hold the defender rotating up. They don't get over aggressive. Gunner runs down, and Inrio does the same. Hearing the multitude of attackers that are all stomping around inside a big tower, knows that's too much for him to take. A minute has passed. Best he join his team on the site and do what IF does best. 5-stack on the site and wait for the push to come in. Gunner's still opening up this hatch, so it won't be as quick as I initially thought, but Tones is using those X-Kairos to great effect. He has them set on the lobby hatch. He can do the same on the security hatch if he wants to, as well as, again, it's not electrified, so you can make that happen. It also appears to be a bit of a rotation by IF. Not so much focusing on Freezer and Laundry this time. It's a heavy presence over back tower stairs, but this could change as we still have a minute 25 left.
Yep, without the Kai too, they can use those Electro Claws. Not Electro Claws, the X-Gyros left from Tones to try and get open that E-box wall and, well, either wall really to either get barrels or get a sign of line of sight on pillar as well to cut off the rotate from Inrio. Vivid here on playing barrels or Harry Potter is going to be probably the main focus to deal with so they can push down those big tower stairs. So they're throwing a grenade on Inrio, but he's too far off to be hit by the grenade. Vivid's still playing, he's smoking out those big tower stairs, playing Harry Potter, playing barrels for the second. Nobody's pushing so far. Some Arctic playing close to make sure nobody can push. Well, actually, he's pushing up to make sure he can shoot the X-Scouts on the wall if they throw it on there. He throws an impact thinking Gunner is close on the wall, but he's not there. Gunner pulls out a grenade. Throwing it over, gets caught by a disc, of course, because he's playing Womai. And so far, it looks like this Mystic play is going to be pushing straight through. Whoa, great shot from some Arctic aggresses. Loses the fight anyway to Gunner. Vivid's going to push forward, though. Now he's kind of in a pinch spot. You hear the X-Scouts in the background going off on E-box wall. He's got to make a play. Gets shot in the back by Norris with the wall open. At this point, too, now this bunker play. But what? Giddy just walks over, gets two. He walks from the elbow. Nobody's watching the play. Arrow with another. Inrio takes out Doc. Arrow will finish off Newers, and that's IF to take round 4.
I mean, to be quite frank, well, this round actually ended how I thought it did, but how we got from 45 seconds remaining to the end of the round was a lot different than what I expected. We saw Mystic desperately trying to find an opening, literally just praying that somebody from IF would peek or give their life away, and no such opportunity was presenting itself. They dumped their frag grenades, they dumped their flashbangs all down E-box hatch, and not a single bit found impact. But then Gunner pushes in and miraculously wins the fight with Subarctic. Again, that's just Gunner for you. He could somehow make that work despite the fact that Sub was behind a shield he could easily pre-fire behind. Another pick is opened up. They clear out not only the player inside a bunker, but Vivid the Smoke, who was watching it as well. Now Mystic have a golden opportunity to flood that area, and in the short amount of time they have left, set up for an execute onto the site as they have bunker control, and that wall has not been reinforced. But Giddy retakes it, and just as Gunner won a miracle fight on a Subarctic, Giddy wins 2 miracle fights onto the players inside a bunker, and single-handedly brought the round back for IF. And from then, it's even man count, and that's where IF thrives.
Yeah, that was a round that I thought that Mystic were going to win right there. That was the fact that they had both 2 kills. They cleared out elbow. They cleared out barrels. It was looking great. But hey, we go on to our next side. We go to kitchen and dining for IF next. And, well, let's see if Mystic can clear out, showers if they're going for a play, or they're going to go upstairs and clear out the roamers inside a bedroom instead. What is the play going to be? You see the shield already here at that dining door. That means probably someone's going to be playing upstairs in small tower with holes open to try open, to hold off that one window on the top of, small tower stairs before the room. And then someone's going to play in that room, hold off the other window and just waste time and maybe get a kill, depending on what happens.
Of course, this is always sometimes a problem if you station anybody inside of small tower. If you have a team that's coordinated enough, I said this the last time I saw a small tower hold. If you have a team that's coordinated enough, they can clear them out pretty easily, but then I've said that a couple times and it never seems to work out. In fact, it's already not for Mystic. It's not the player inside of small tower, it's the player peeking it. Subarctic swings out and finds an opening kill onto Newers. Likely just took that fight Nobody from Mystic was expecting it. Now your Zofia falls, but this is their counterplay for Giddy playing inside this position. 2 Candelas, but they are all eaten up by the ADS. Oh no, one does manage to go through. That's good, but Inrio still covering from down below. And now Giddy, another one on the Gunner. This round has quickly collapsed for Mystic. The small tower player not only survives, but thrives in this position. Sweater the only one left. He's trying to hit a lick from the opposite side of the map with no kills so far. If he doesn't win this round, if he doesn't get all 5, any kill he get will be impactless, and his health is being depleted by the second. He will find one, Subarctic with the trade. And that was both a very nice play by IF, great setup, but definitely a big misplay by Mystic in that small tower clear.
Yeah, Newer's getting the first pick from Subarctic. Subarctic was probably just peeking by the shield over by dining door. And I'm not sure if New was expecting him to play it off of it, but it still gets the kill. And then off of here, Giddy getting 2. The fact that the Candelas, there was nobody under the window. We always talk about the small tower hold when it comes to other games.
Window,
there was nobody on the other window to play off of the aggression.
To be fair, I do know that sometimes that other window can be a bit precarious because you also have to deal with the big window player, but
true.
Big thing was getting those Candelas burned.
I guess maybe because Newers died, they didn't have someone holding big one. That's why I didn't have someone there.
Yeah, maybe.
Or if someone maybe was playing T3. But because nobody's there, you can't get a refrag.
Yeah. And especially when those Candelas all just got eaten up by the ADS, they had a perfectly fine clear that honestly didn't even need the window because, I mean, if Giddy literally can't see, you can probably push in and get the kill unless Giddy's the luckiest man on Earth. But because all that utility got eaten up, it just...
I think the third one didn't work, but I think the desk blocked it.
I know the third one worked, but I know the first 2 got eaten up. And
yeah, the first 2, if he had thrown all 3 and they all gone there, he probably wouldn't blinded. But the third one came through, and I think because it was so close, he could hide behind the desk and it didn't affect him.
Maybe. But also the coordination between him and Inray was also very good. Overall, that's it. For a site that is definitely probably the hardest to hold on Oregon, that was a very clean way to do it. They'll also go to the next tertiary site as they've won basement, they've won dining, they've lost storms twice, so oddly enough, they don't want to go to one of those primary bomb sites. They instead want to focus here. And we talked about standard setups, Benny. This doesn't appear to be anything out of the ordinary in terms of extensions into dorms.
No, nothing crazy. Oh, Tones. No. Oh, he's got me.
Oh, okay. I think it was actually...
That was scary.
Was that Tones that was lagging or Doc? I actually couldn't tell.
It had to have been Tones.
Might have been both, TBH.
Doc would have been, I guess maybe both, but all I saw was Tones, moonwalking, and that's not a good sign.
I'm gonna agree. I don't think that's a good sign.
Don't moonwalk, guys. It's a bad sign in real life.
But anyway, don't like out the game.
Well, we're upstairs since it's Rome, and of course, this is a full Rome from IF, of course, because you need to on this site when it comes to kitchen and a meeting. If you hold on attic, if you hold on to that top dorms hold, you can use that vertical pressure to deny people below. So it looks like maybe Mystic are looking to maybe just push site, though. I'll see what happens here. Newers and the rest of them, there's 3 people downstairs on this first floor. They try to put, it looks like Xcaros on those walls, pushing in the meeting, but they've been muted, so they can't push through that way at all. It looks like, at this point now, there's nobody really going upstairs. Are they pushing straight to site?
They might be trying. One of the sets of X-Kairos did get muted, unfortunately, so I don't know of how they've progressed on that regard. They opened up the left panel, but, well, you can hear the electricity. Yeah, that other set of 6 is unfortunately muted. They cannot open that wall, and funny enough, that's kind of the most important one. Sweater, thank God, he got the hell out of Dodge. That would have been a very unceremonious and unfortunate way to lose the opening duel. Giddy right now, I was about to say, he's by himself, and Newers will capitalize on that fact. Through a hole made in the floor, finds the Goyo. Opening pick and really can't be traded, but that does mean the top stairs hold is still relatively intact.
Yeah, well, the thing is, if they can drone out and they can find a weakness in this bottom hole, looks like some of the members from maybe from IF have returned back to site. So Arctic's playing the big tower stairs. Actually, on site, Arrow's the only one on site. He's dead now. This allows for them to push through. Nobody's playing the attic hatch as well, so they're going to get that plant down. It's a post situation. Now IF have to re-aggress back into meeting. He sees one. The one goes down to Vivid, but there's still 3 more inside of meeting or outside of it, really just waiting for it. So Arctic's trying to play from the hatch. He can find one more. He can get him kill actually on the dock. Inrio's trying to push in the garage. Shot in the back by Noises. No, he's playing split. Is playing for the kill. He gets Vivid as well, and down goes some Arctic. Mystic push straight in the meeting, and they'll take that round heavily.
Didn't need at all to clear out that top floor. Of course, they got the first pick. They're like, all right, cool. Wasn't part of our plan, but we'll take those. And then they focus, as you pointed out, they were entirely focusing on finding the pick on the one player inside of meeting because there were 2 players on the top floor, nobody playing the hatch. And the only player who was really directly on the site once Tones got that kill on Arrow was Vivid, who I believe was actually, I'm not too sure. I think he wasn't even sure exactly the bomb was going down. I don't know where he put his smoke, but didn't really see it anywhere by the actual attackers. So I think it was sort of kind of chaos. He might not have been able to find his way through. Even if he did, there were still really nice shots by both Vivid, just sitting inside of security, caught Tones rotating off, and Subarctic playing that hatch. But again, when you have everybody flood the site and then the attackers all immediately retreat to their post plants, it's a 5v3. You get those 2 kills, but those 3 kills are going to be extremely difficult to round out as well. So Mystic moving to their defense on a 3-3 half on their map pick. Looking pretty solid. First side up will be Dorms. And I think it's actually, aside from the Alibi, it's actually almost the exact same lineup we saw IF run on their attack. But interesting thing to note, Benny, they have a deployable shield, but with the Alibi, they're lacking those toxic canisters. And in terms of post-plant utility, all they have are those 2 C4s that could be a little concerning, especially for IF, who, if they're in a position to get that bomb down, odds are they win the round once that happens.
10 seconds left.
100% agree. Yeah, they're only bringing 2 C4s, so it does seem like there is some aggression here. So if Mystic can hold onto that bottom floor and have the intel to deny the plan from below, this could work out in their favor if it comes to that point. But it really depends, because if IF can get that bomb down and there's nothing to stop them in the midst of it, depending on where Gunner and Tones are during those moments, this could be a quick one. Great pings with the Prisma actually will.
Oh, wow.
He reads that part. Wow. Actually, yeah, hit a ping on him too. So they droned out Sweater. They shot the Prisma to bait out Sweater, I believe, and get that kill.
That was... I can't even really say anything to that.
That was all calculated.
I feel like that play just kind of speaks for itself. Like, I don't need to add any words to it. You could see with your own 2 eyes how just impressive that was. Now also, we see Giddy in a position to cut off Gunners, rotate back to the site. Pings actively on him as well. Could go for the pre-fire, him and Inrio. Likely going to go for the pinch. That's exactly what will happen. 2K for Inrio so far, but this isn't like individual skill. This is just coordination and information gathering being fed directly to Inrio, and then also Giddy with that second kill. This has been a very elegant 5v3 first 2 opening duels coming from IF, and it's exactly what we want to see. Now with 2 minutes remaining, they can clear out those mute jammers on the side. They can push these players back if they want to. They're in such a good position. And Doc has taken the opportunity to make a play, but he also falls to Giddy. No intel. He knows he has to do something, but he pushes directly into Giddy's line of sight. A nice shot by Tones, I will say. Newers also gets the first pick onto Giddy, but it's still man advantage. Now equalized because the playmaking didn't come from Doc. It instead came from the Wamai inside his sight. Now it's IF who started so strong. Now they're the ones playing catch-up.
Oh, wow. Yeah, again, we talked about before in the pre-show, the fact that there are members on this team that despite the man disadvantage, despite being against them, they can still, with a sheer mechanical skill, bring it back in their favor. Well, maybe not in their favor. It's even now for the moment, but the fuse is in their hands. The fuse is on the floor inside a walk-in closet. One member, I believe Tones, sitting right by the diffuser, waiting for a moment to kill someone who picks it back up. And hopefully, yeah, and then we have, Newers behind him, holding off White Stairs for him, or holding off Trophy. So now Arctic has to push his way through, unaware of where these members are. Pushing way through. Tones, yep, he wins that fight anyway. Yep, Tones gets that fight, gets that kill. Now it's down to just Arrow in a 1v2. He takes a shotgun just to finish him off.
Not the reload R6 right there. Arctic almost getting up. Arrow on the 1v2, of course. Diffuser knows there's somebody playing close with a shotgun. He does manage to hit the pre-fire of a lifetime, but he's put to 1 HP because of Newers. Not finished off, and that could prove important for the outcome of this round. Winning that fight with Tones was absolutely massive, and also what I just straight up did not think he would win. But he's on 1 HP here. He has a diffuser, and going for the plant is in all likelihood not an option, especially because of his low health count. You see, he won't even go for the diffuser. He has to go for this kill. Pre-fire is coming out. Newers knows he's pushed in at this point. Swings out. Arrow can't even react in time. First defensive round goes to Mystic, and they take the lead 4-3.
I'm about to say, yeah, that was the beginning of the round was just intel and coordination, and everybody's gonna say they hate yellow pings, but that was great from the side of IF. They dealt with 2 people immediately. I hope that I'm right when I say that they hit the Prisma on purpose, knowing that Spiders was playing for that angle at split, so that they can pre-fire that angle, knowing he was there off the ping, and kill him.
If it wasn't on purpose, the fact that they used that situation in such a short amount of time, this is assuming it wasn't on purpose. If it wasn't on purpose, and they used the situation and just called that right as that happened, it's also equally as impressive.
Very equally impressive. And they get the kill onto, I think it was Gunner on the main stairs, just on armory stairs, just, again, ping, pinch. Gunner thinks there's one armory that's going to push him, but doesn't know that Inrio's right at the main door to shoot him in the back. So great from the side of IF, but then you go into the mid-round to the late round from Mystic, and the 2 members left on Mystic who are left on site play perfectly off of the push. They find great weak points in IF's attack and just capitalize and getting kills on side of mid IF side and make it a 2v2. And the biggest thing too was the fact that they were able to get the bomb with a diffuser on the floor inside walk-in closet. Tones plays it perfectly around the corner in that 1v2 technically, because elsewhere he was waiting for his teammate was helping out to clear, hold off trophy, hold off white. He plays that, kills one player, and then it's a 1v1 for the last player to play out, and he does it perfectly in New Wars.
Mystic also running the exact same operator lineup for a different site, as you can tell, but everyone is running everything they did previously, so I don't believe we'll see too much of a roam up top, partially because, well, one, I have dealt with it so well last time, but with the lineup that they're going with, it's not one that exactly lends itself all too well. We don't see any reinforcements dedicated to meeting either, so News will rotate up, get that hatch, then immediately rotate back down. Of course, Gunner's off-site, but it's Gunner. Of course it is. Almost gets cut off again by Subarctic, but he thankfully manages to duck behind the wall for cover right in the nick of time, and now he will also rotate down to join the other 4 team members that will hold this site. That's exactly what you want to see. No Cade, like we mentioned. Well, it gave Mystic a lot of time on their attack to open up these hatches, and it will do the same for IF. With a Flores as well on the board, something we did not see from Mystic. The 3 deployable shields that Mystic have right now, if IF can angle them properly and manage to evade those mute jammers and evade any bullets coming their way, could be very good at using or clearing out those shields with not too much intel collectively expended. Not too much utility.
Actually, they're moving the shields from elbow towards laundry, actually. So I guess they think that there's gonna be a freezer laundry take as they're restructuring those shields. But if they don't play this, it could be actually no Gunner setting up a shield there. I just set up late.
Okay.
It's just Gunner. It's just Gunner. Never mind. But still, having the floors should make it easier to try and clear this out.
It's kind of like I was gonna say, it's kind of too early to call. Like if they're fully rotating. With Oregon, we often see teams kind of meandering for a good bit before they commit.
But as we saw the floor is working out. Those Rat Terror drones working well. Rat Arrow, just destroying that first shield inside of elbow to make it easier for that play to run. If that's going to be the play, if they go for bunker in big tower stairs, but then Gunner just moves his other one over there.
Yeah. So just pick up the other one, put it immediately back there, like, haha, you thought. Now you must use another one if you want to burn my shield. And I imagine I have to be like, well, Gideon will be like, I have 4 of them, so I was going to destroy it anyway. Might as well do it here. Gunner also feeling at least in a position where he can start getting aggressive, but he's droned out, hits the prone immediately, and could very well find a kill here. Ooh, but the shots go wide. He's the one that takes the brunt of that damage. In fact, the only bit of damage in the round so far is now they were not correct. It was not a laundry plant, or not a laundry push. Unfortunately, it's not at all a facet of IF's attack, but Mystics still have plenty of utility lined up in this area, so that is not something that's going to burn them nearly as much. But IF are stuck in a similar position as Mystic were on their basement attack. 39 seconds left. They are struggling to find a pick, and the opportunity is simply not presenting itself. Ooh. They finally do. Giddy's able to push in and kill the blinded Newers, but the lead is short-lived. Well, I say that. It's now fully equalized. 27 seconds left, stuck in the 3v3. Only 1 C4 for post-plant utility. Subarctic also now finished off by Tones, playing on that freezer wall. This is looking very good for Mystic, who just need to play together and wait for IF to make the first move in the final 15 seconds. Giddy on low HP will find one, but Sweater's unfortunately too quick on the draw there, and it's not that difficult for Mystic to finish out once it's the 1v3. 2 rounds in a row, 5v3, 2 rounds away from a victory.
Yeah, that was just that was a round just like we saw from Mystic, though. I think Mystic did a better job of opening up that that E-box wall, and they were able to get control of elbow and have that big tower drop down work better in their round compared to IF. IF they were able to clear out elbow to a certain extent. They weren't able to really take full advantage of it, and then that big tower take going down the stairs to take a pillar did not work out whatsoever. The players of Mystic playing pillar or playing hallway were able to deal with them and stop that big tower take whatsoever. And even some Arctics, but try to go for a diversion for a flank, do a freezer, get stopped entirely too. So unfortunately for IF, a lot of that play, the only thing that was successful that round was that elbow take, which they couldn't really take full advantage of because, well, the Vulcan shield, it's on fire.
Yeah. Very good hold by Mystic, but again, that's just sometimes the problem with Oregon, and especially the problem with basement. If you're not able to find a pick early on, or if the utility you dump, say inside a pillar, inside a bunker, isn't able to net a kill, you're just stuck taking gunfights. And when you're pushing in a 5v5, it's very easy for the defense, whether it's IF or Mystic, just nature of the site and the side on this specific site, to just play the man advantage. If they don't get the opening pick, trade it out, and then play off each other to push the round in their favor. But now Mystic have won their 2 primary bomb sites. They've won dorms and basement. Now we get to see them test their mettle on one of the tertiary ones. We've seen both dining and meeting today, and well, we've actually seen dining a couple times in at least for Benny, you and I, we saw it a couple times in the close qualifiers on Sunday. So feels like I've seen it a lot more recently than I have previously. So Mystic could very well go that site, but no, instead it will be meeting hall and kitchen. They'll decide to go.
Well, let's see how it goes for them, because last time we saw this from the side of IF, it was kind of where Mystic took the advantage, took a weakness or a pick off of someone inside a meeting, knowing that most of IF was roaming, took control of meeting, got that plant down, knowing that no one's also on the hatch either inside of Attic. But I see a Ying coming out from IF, and we'll see if they can use that IF to, or use that Ying to effect, if they are pushing upstairs to clear, or if they're trying to just push on site. You know, the Ying would have been nice if they had a small tower hold like we saw. I guess they would have for Mystic when they tried to use the Ying for a small tower hold. But, you know, maybe it could have been, but we'll see what the Ying is used in this expected. Because I wonder if they thought they were going to, you know, kitchen dining, or if they knew they were going to kitchen meeting in this instance.
I think it's good either way. If Mystic are holding up top, and say you don't find the same opportunity that they did when you were defending the site, if Mystic are stationing more than a couple people in meeting, they have maybe say one person in dining as well, one person stationed in meeting, and one person who can kind of rotate between the two. Not as easy to find a pick and find an opportunity to flood the site early on. The Candelas can not only still be very good for pushing the site later, but also for clearing out that realm pretty early on, because it looks right now that, well, considering there's nobody on the site, a lot of players for Mystic Station. Of course, there's going to be a couple that will rotate back, probably in about 15 to 30 seconds, I would expect, so maybe not enough time for IF to capitalize on, but it does show that Mystic are getting aggressive, and they want to use those, if they want to use those Candelas to flood out the realm, they'll certainly have a lot of players they have to deal with.
Well, yeah, I already saw Sweater, Tones are all looking for an early pick to try and, trying to get to match point, try and finish up as fast as possible, keep them moving when it comes to the next map. But so far, it looks like IF are just take the time, joining things out, taking it slow as they usually do, and they're seeing what is going on with this roam. What is Mystic doing here on this defense strat? And of course, I don't think John Gunner is sitting on top of the pile of lumber inside of Attic, see if he can hold his position and not be droned out as he's waiting for someone to aggress into Attic. But so far, yeah, they're just throwing things out, figuring things out. But yeah, I haven't done anything really. Looks like they're pushing a big tower, though.
Yep. I think not only do you and I both know that they are pushing for big tower, I'm pretty sure Mystic are probably aware of that as well, considering the multitude of drones all flooding in. The players stomping around air are also doing some parkour inside of big tower. They're probably like, hey, I think they're pushing from over here. And really, the nice thing about this push is all you need to do, kind of like how we saw Mystic just neglect to clear the realm, you don't necessarily need to do the same either. This is sort of problematic, as now the Ying, who can sometimes be the heart of an execute on Oregon, those Candelas, maybe not necessarily necessary, but definitely very helpful when they're on the board, down, but he will be picked back up by Subarctic because of the Finka Adrenal Surge. And Mystic will also rotate back, but a long angle held by Sweater. Through the very Mav holes Arrow was opening, Giddy is picked back up and immediately slapped back down, but it's even soon after.
Even up now, it looks at the aggression. Well, the point of here is they can open up this meeting wall and push straight through into site and get that plant down behind the table if they can. Once they bait out the C4s and bait out the utility, that's kind of the point. They just got to make sure they hold off that Attic side so no one either plays the hatch or aggresses through that Attic into big tower and takes control of it, takes control of T2, which will be, pretty much end the round because they're stuck between a rock and hard place at that point. And so far, they gotten the wall open, and now they're trying to bait out those C4s. First C4 comes out. Nobody's there. Nobody's waiting for it. IF are just getting waiting for it. Arrow go downstairs. Maybe expecting someone from someone to drop down. Because, yeah, Doc's playing his position. If they pressure Doc, Arrow should be there to try and cut him off. And that's actually Doc gets the kill instead of Arctic from that same wall they just opened. Great shots from Doc. And looks like he's still... The Attic is now opened up, but nobody's dropped for the moment. And so far, it looks like the plant comes through. There's only 3 members left, and they're just waiting for something to happen.
This is a little bit of an issue. You can see how hard Arrow's concerning himself with just trying to find Doc on that hatch. Didn't present itself, so now he's got to rotate back up. 3v4. And we're also watching up top. This is going to be difficult for this execute to come out. They love and IF thrive in those executes, but there's just simply not enough manpower to dedicate to cover everything that Mystic are playing and holding. Vivid, the only one left. Can't even find one. Sweater behind the bomb chassis takes him down. Match point as Mystic win a flawless cycle, and all they need to do is get one more defensive win on Oregon to win your map pick. It's looking pretty good for them going into map number 2.
Yeah, they're going back to dorms too. That is looking pretty good for them. Yeah,
no, that was a 2v5 that they had to pull out.
It was 2v5. It was 2v5. It was a bit of a clutch coming from the side of Mystic, but still, they can redo that round. And so far, in the last 2 rounds, they've showed a lot better time on those defenses compared to the first one. So they could have something more in store for their next defense. Depends. We'll see what happens though. But looks like this time that really did. Oh, actually, different change. Because last time they only had 2 C4s in the instance. Now they're actually bringing the smoke. Never mind, they're not bringing smoke. I lied.
But they are still bringing some post-plant or some plant denial. They have those yokai drones, so you get the intel for the early to mid round. So if they want to get aggressive like they did previously, you know, we saw both Sweater and Gunner playing inside of main lobby to try to make something happen. I doubt we'll see Mystic players in that part of the map this go around, but we will likely see Newers playing off the site, and Gunner can dedicate one of those yokais to providing intel to the roamer while also stationing one on site to deny any push in from IF in the late round, and they try to get the bomb down. You have that yokai to deny the plant if it is not destroyed. But I do think we will see some offside presence. I doubt it'll be in the same vein. It might be more over towards small tower or downstairs inside of security. Doc or Newers could take up that role. Could be Sweater as well. I am counting him out, but I'm just assuming he got slapped down so spectacularly in the first Storm's defense that he's probably gonna overcorrect and hang back on the site a lot more than he did previously. But that's at least what I think. So I imagine we'll see Newers and Doc being the ones, and likely a yokai will aid them in the offside play. Why not?
Yeah.
Always an option.
Could be, yeah. I guess, hey, if any team's gonna do it, Mystic's probably the one to use a yokai drone effectively as a drone, like it would be an attack to get some kills. But so far, like the Sweater will do a bit of peeking. We'll just make some shots come out, some warning shots to scare IF. Looks like Inrio's takes those shots and he's gonna look through, make to see if Sweater re-peeks that, but Sweater's walked away. One person is downstairs, though. Looks like there is Newers waiting for a repel, and Tones playing below in main lobby. Playing by garage, playing by expecting someone maybe to open up that main door, push into garage, but he's going to back off, seeing as nobody's pushing for the moment from IF. Once again, early round, they're just droning out slow from IF. They're going to figure things out, establish a straightforward start to the round, and that's going to be pushing this master bedroom side, where nobody from Mystic is aggressing or even holding whatsoever.
Giddy retakes his position inside of Armory, and now we see Foley. I mean, we saw a little bit of what happened, but there's some action that happened in between then and Giddy breach charging that wall. But with no kills, he goes with the exact same play. Tones is also now rotated off the site, coming up, taking up position at top freezer. This is not at all an uncommon position. I did not think that Tones would be the one to be there. I figured, especially based on how and where he's been playing so far in the match, he'd be the one more sitting on the site. But still a very good position to have to deny anybody pushing in aggressively into freezer. You can contest them a little bit, and of course always rotate back, as there is no pressure whatsoever on the back tower side of things. So you can rotate up that area, join Newers if you want to, maybe play inside a kitchen if you still want to get aggressive, as a minute and a half has happened, and IF are solely focusing on the master bedroom and trophy. They are looking to maybe posture over towards big window as well, with a couple players, Arrow, and I believe it was Inrio earlier, who's now rotated over, all playing in that area. Beyond that, they don't have a lot, and time is starting to run a little low for what they might want to accomplish.
Yeah, the only thing they really aggressed there is opening this wall, like you said. So at this point, it does seem like there are people positioned towards that side, maybe expecting a C4, expecting someone to play below in kitchen, waiting on the time to run out so they can at least maybe push through and cut off these players when they're expected. Gunner takes a lot of damage from a grenade. Great grenade from the side of Subarctic, but unfortunately won't kill. Never mind, will kill him actually. He gets him off on the rotate from below. Anyone will get shot from on the big window or from below. I don't know where he was exactly, but Newer is now expecting to push up white in a flank, as IF have to actually drone out these plays downstairs. He knew Subarctic getting shot in the back, but Arrow's there, catch him from behind. Giddy gets one, so Arthur with a great grenade, and now it's down to just Tones in a 1v5 all of a sudden, and Tones was downstairs. Arrow's got a shotgun ready from behind him. He was the one covering from below. Oh, now actually Tones went back in, gets one kill on Inreal, gets another kill on a Giddy.
What?
He's actually got a shotgun ready, but Arrow's got a shotgun as well.
Tones had me believing there, I ain't gonna lie, and I think a lot of you guys were as well. Based on the fact he got both of those kills, there was a player who was pretty worse for wear for them. And in the right as he turned around with a shotgun close quarters on those stairs, that was looking like it. But unfortunately, as you said, oddly enough, don't see that secondary shotgun get a lot of kills, but guess it's useful for a position like that if you aren't going to use it for site reconstruction or wall reconstruction of any kind. For Mystic, they definitely did correct quite a bit from what they did in round one. Still had some players playing off-site, but it was definitely more in the vein of holding positions instead of going for frags. You were holding freezer stairs, you were holding security and kitchen, but IF, they were simply biding their time. They said, okay, Mystic, see, we're going to wait for you to peek. We're going to set up our attack, and once you provide that opening, that's exactly when we're going to strike. And it's not a bad strategy for Mystic, who seem to sometimes rely on winning those gunfights, getting aggressive in positions. They catch Gunner moving around in and around the site. They get two soon after based on that exact methodology. For that round in particular, it worked very well. The problem is, it's hard to do the exact same on basement, because you could rely on Mystic getting aggressive, but as we saw from how they defended this site previously, they played it very disciplined, They just held these positions, all 5 members on the site, and they were very reluctant to give gunfights to any of the attackers on Big Tower Stairs or inside a bunker. So going forward here for IF, it might have got you the first round, but unless Mystic change their winning strategy and get more aggressive, I don't know if it'll work here. It's likely going to result and require IF forcing an engagement to happen instead of hoping that one does.
Yeah, this time they have to really deal with these players in Pillar if they're going to go for the Big Tower Stairs. See if they open up the E-Box hatch and get rid of the player playing Harry Potter or playing, over by barrels. They were able to deal with player inside of, elbow last time and take control of elbow, but that's the only success they had. So this time we're going to see if they have a better success. They are paying one player. It's Gunner once again, playing aggressive as per usual. They're expecting maybe Gunner to swing out and have his inner pulls up the grenade. Nobody's there for a moment. He throws the grenade. Gunner's already ran away though. He's just walking around. They actually waste one of the grenades they might need later on. So that's good for Mystic.
They do have 6 grenades total, so if they were just, say, the Yana and Arrow, I'd be like, oh, that is massive. But here, it definitely could suck, especially considering there are 3 deployable shields. You know what does suck? That sucks. Right there. Okay, he does turn around, so we're good. I was about to say, thankfully the drone does be like, hey, I didn't drone out this corner, and in fact, not a direct result of that intel, but Subarctic is able to find one on its own, and there is a trade soon after, though, and I would say, honestly, for basement, these are kind of even in a way, especially with how powerful SAS operators can be on Oregon. You have that shotgun that can play close quarters. That was one of 2 C4s for Mystic as well. You do lose the Ana, which provides some useful utility, not in terms of her primary and secondary for the nades and the Gone 6, but it's not a terrible trade, in all honesty. But because it's even, it still probably favors the defense because IF did lose their entry.
Yeah, I'd say it depends here. It depends. It's one less defender, one less attacker to hold off positions. So it's kind of even here. It's still, again, depending on what IF are going for here, it's still in the favor of Mystic to hold off below. But the Ying's still in play here, which they gotta do it well, though. They gotta be able to deploy those smokes, and they can Dallas perfectly on this execute if they're going for Laundry Freezer. I don't know if that's play so far. It seems to be the way from what they're positioning themselves. But there is someone bunker. There's someone going towards the hatches as well. I really don't know what IF is going for here. They're all spread out at the moment, and we're down to the last minute where they're going to figure out. Looks like they're going to try and open up the E-Box wall to pressure doors, but someone's there, and Gunner's ready to take out Giddy elsewhere, so there goes the Ying. It's Gunner re-aggressing again when he wouldn't expect him to do so.
Right now, this is looking very, very dicey for IF. 3v4, and you still have to push down onto the site. It's a very last-minute rotate to a Laundry Freezer take. And I don't really know where Arrow's going to position himself right now. Vivid also rotating back up. We do know that Freezer will be an element. Well, it has to in this position. You simply can't push through E-Box and Pillar in the man disadvantage, especially by this amount. Subarctic slowly pushing in. One will peek, but he instead rotates back into the site, and we see Subarctic prepping a Gone 6. He'll fire it on over, and it is truly a Laundry Freezer take. But Doc getting aggressive, playing inside of this position. Up nade bounced perfectly on his position, but it might not be enough to stop the inevitable. Subarctic is able to put this into a 1v2, fires into the alibi clone reflexively, and there's not enough time to finish this up. Mystic take their map pick 7-4, but going into IF's map pick, you lose 7-4, still not a bad scoreline by any means, and there is still plenty of hope for IF in this series.
Yeah, we still have another map to go. Nothing too crazy, but Mystic on that map, though, especially came to defense. Just they're able to the fact that we always, I guess not always, but I see that we always talk about them being aggressive. They have very gun skill, but the fact that they can play discipline at times, they can play at moments, they can wait for moments to get aggressive when they need to be, is great for Mystic. The fact that, Gunner, they all returned back downstairs, but they took a moment. Gunner found a moment to kill Giddy when they really needed Giddy for that execute. And that's the kind of things that you don't expect, I guess, from the side of Mystic.
Well, that is map number 1 out of the way. 7-4, sure, it's not a 7-5 or overtime, but it's still as close of a regulation win as you can get. That's about the border where you start getting to 7-3s, the term one-sided starts getting thrown around. But that's still a good showing by IF on their opponent's map pick. So, before we go to a break and before we jump into map number 2, just want to take a quick second to thank one of our sponsors that has always stuck with NSG and SCS through all of these past months, Mike and Ike's. Take your candy game to the next level with Mike and Ike's, either the original or the Mega Mix. I've said before I prefer the original, but I'm also not a big fruit-flavored candy guy, so can't speak as much. That's more Benny's domain. But we always do thank them for sticking around and sticking and being a very great sponsor for SCS. So if you want to power up with Mike and Ike's and maybe play like Gunner, or I guess, who was actually Who got the most frags in that match for Mystic?
I don't remember the stats, but Gunnar had a lot. I would say it was
Gunnar at least early on was. I believe it was Newers, though I wouldn't be surprised if it was pretty even throughout. Somebody probably broke double digits, but we'll just have to see if that trend can continue on to map number 2. But until then, we're going to take a quick break, so don't turn off that browser, don't turn off the stream. We'll just be back in a couple minutes with map number 2 of Bank.
Hi, I go by Gunnar, and I play for Team Mystic. Play a lot of them. I've screened a lot of them. Not really like a problem usually. Their coordination is obviously a lot better than most teams that I'll play against. With that said, sometimes that's their downfall because in T3, it doesn't really matter. It's just kind of taking gunfights. So if you piss off one of their players, they'll just call you stupid because you're in T3, and then their mental's shocked for the rest of the game. Were just the roles and how we were setting up and everything. Me coming into the team being very new with only a day of practice obviously equated to that. I think we finally found everyone's most comfortable role, and we got it dialed in. You don't really need to. They kind of have to adjust to your playstyle in T3 because most T3 teams, it's just off of pure gun skill and, not much coordination. They're going to have to adjust to kind of stupid plays and everything while all we're going to do is swing them. Is Forrest. Forrest sucks. He's terrible at the game, and I'm gonna smoke him like I did in CCS. Newers and Sweater, probably the most pro league ready right now. Sweater, obviously, you know how that went. I think he will be in pro league the moment his ban's uplifted, and I think Newers with a little more time will also be in pro league. Livid, they're all my ex-teammates mostly, so I'm gonna smoke them. And Gino sucks. Aerial or IF, I think those are probably the best CL teams in terms of competing against T3. I think gun skill wise that they have the best players for that. Definitely Interstellar, easy. I only play DayZ and Siege, but I play DayZ all day as my love. Sleep. I just take naps. I just be falling asleep all the time. I'll just relax. Yeah.
Welcome to the NerdStreet Winter Championships, featuring SCS6, a yearly open tournament series hosting the best players and teams North America has to offer, culminating in a community favorite, the Pro-Am. So let's discuss format. During the Winter Champs season, SCS6 will consist of 2 stages, where each stage begins with 2 open qualifiers. Once Stage 1 is complete, there will be an additional tournament offering 1 more qualification spot prior to Stage 2. Through participating in SCS6, players will acquire leaderboard points and cash prizing. The winning teams from Stage 1 and 2, as well as the additional tournament, will qualify for the Pro-Am. The top 2 teams from the leaderboard will also qualify. As we approach the end of the season, the final qualification spot will be determined through a last chance qualifier. The Grand Finals of the Winter Champs SCS6 will feature the return of the Pro-Am, where the top amateur teams have an opportunity to define their talent against the North American Pro League. But in the end, only one team will be crowned Winter Champs. Sign up today and make history.
V3, make that a 1v2.
2 seconds left. It's going to come down.
Favor making a third as he looks up. Faker finds the drop. 3. Stunning here from
Well, Gunnar said in the interview that IF could be one of the hardest teams to beat in SCS, but we're just one map away from potentially that answer maybe not being as true as he initially thought. I'm Lynx, joined by Benny, but Benny, I did say right before we went to the break that it's not done and dusted for IF. We're going to their map pick. This is still plenty of potential for a 3-map series.
I would say, yeah, we still, sure, the Oregon, I would say the Oregon was great. We saw some great intel, we saw some great defenses, but they're still here. We still don't know what their map pool is like. How are they going to do in Bank? There's still so much to be known here for these two teams, it seems. Yeah, I can't talk.
No, we while the attacks obviously for IF were not nearly as spectacular as they were for Mystic, but I mean neither team won exactly a large amount of attacks. Just Mystic won, I believe 3, and then IF only won 1. But we still saw quite a lot of bright spots for IF, especially in that first round. Sure, they lost a 2v5, but the early round and denying the aggression for Mystic was very good. Their second Dorms attack was also, which they did end up winning, was also very well done. So overall, sure, IF might have lost 7-4, but there were still a lot of great things on both the attack and the defense to look at and to build upon going into Bank, which, of course, their map pick, a map that, while it's been close historically, they have looked very good on at times, especially against PB, where very nearly beat them. It took a very large comeback for PB to win. Again, this is not over by any stretch of the imagination.
Holy stats.
Yeah, we can take a look at the stats here, and Benny, clearly, obviously everyone on Mystic was about even, but Newers was just a step above the rest.
Oh, yep, yeah, it was. Oh boy, 11 and 6 though. I'll say entry wise though, yeah, makes it crazy. Gunner with the entry kills to a sweater. So this is gonna be interesting to see. Nothing. I'll say the stats here between two teams aren't too crazy though. It's just Newers a step ahead of everyone else, really.
Yeah, excuse me. For both of these teams, obviously, you know, there's one player who's a little bit lower rated than everyone else, but even on IF, fairly even across the board. For Mystic, fairly even as well. Just Newers just a little bit better, but even if you look at cost, not too much of a differential in between the top and the bottom player, at least sometimes when you see a team after loss. So I think it goes to show that these teams, even though it was a 7-4, I think they might be pretty evenly matched. And sure, Gunner might be about to beat IF 2-0, depending on how Bank goes, but clearly it shows that this is not just an easy match for Mystic. This is definitely a very even contest between these two teams. So going into Bank, I obviously am not familiar with Mystic's record on the map, but I do know that for new maps, they tend to be slowly adopted in the scene overall. Obviously, you know, T1 is usually the first. Trickles down to T2 is a big talking point in playoffs. Benny, do you think Bank, because it's a new map, do you think Mystic have practiced it, or do you think it's still not fully taken hold and they've not needed to play it in the amateur scene just yet?
I don't know, because I don't know what Mystic, yeah, like you said, I don't know Mystic's like what their, you know, what the map pool is like. Have they played it in other leagues? Have they been practicing it? It has been in a little bit. It's not like it's been just added recently. It's been in for a little bit, for a season or so. So I'm assuming they've at least played it in other leagues. They've practiced it, probably scrimmed it. So I'm interested to see how they do. We really see them as a, you know, aggressive team. They are disciplined at times, so maybe they will have a great showing here. Maybe.
Well, we'll see. As you can tell, obviously we're getting into the ban phase. IF will start out on defense, so Bank, which sometimes tend to trend a little bit attacker-sided, might be a bit problematic to start out, but again, this is their map pick, so I imagine we'll likely see some good stuff to start out on the defense. First ban will be Hibana. That's pretty much a necessary, almost required ban on Bank, and it's also one that IF have certainly not shied away from before. For Mystic, I imagine we'll see Thatcher coming up as the next ban. Maybe something different. We've seen people ban like Finka before against IF, I think it might have been, but no, just Thatcher.
Yeah, same old. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be Mirror Valkyrie as per usual, because both those operators on this map specifically are huge to have. They bring out a lot to the rounds, to the sites, really, depending on you're downstairs, no matter what site you're on, your neighbor usually. So I would expect IF to ban Valkyrie here, and it should be the same old as per usual. Just the Hibana really is the biggest one, because the fact that, yeah, like you said, Hibana is required on, not required, but just makes it so much easier on so many of these sites.
Especially basement, with how prevalent a lot of the hatches are. You can just easily just dump about 4x Kairos on the lobby hatch, the security hatch. I mean, how many hatches? I think it's 4. Is it?
Yeah,
I can never.
4 hatches. Yep.
I was about to say,
it can be 5
5,
depending on if you go for the. Actually, no, it's 5 depending if you go for server hatch, if they're playing server.
Okay, so I was about to say, I was like, I can't remember if it's 4 or 5, but I knew it was definitely one of those two numbers. But usually, you don't physically have enough X Kairos to get all 5. So. But you can, I believe. No, you can only get
Canopors.
Yeah, true. But I'm thinking doing the math with X Kairos. I think you can.
Oh no, you would need, because it's 4 per and there's 5 hatches. So
you'd be able to get 4 hatches though. That's what I was wondering. When we start getting late at night, my math skills start getting away from me.
Not even late yet, even.
Dude, it is, dude. It's 7:03. Actually, that's not true. I took like a 3-hour nap today, so I'm actually perfectly fine right now. Just stupid. But first site, as you were starting to mention, this basement. Usually the first primary site for most teams. And I imagine based on the lineup we're seeing here, seeing Giddy move to the Echo, Vivid on the Tachanka, imagine we'll see, maybe not Giddy, but likely somebody playing behind a deployable shield inside of Garage. And in all likelihood, not a huge focus on roaming too far off the site, but I imagine we will see likely a couple players, mainly Arrow, not entirely sure who else, will be focusing a little bit on that first floor, but beyond that, I think it's going to be a lot of the same old from IF, you know, holding security, but all of it's going to be with the focus of making it a little bit more difficult to come to site as opposed to holding positions around the map and saying, hey, you have to clear us out for here. It's like, okay, we'll contest a bit, then rotate back down pretty soon after. They're also reinforcing all these hatches, so it could just be a full bunker for them.
Yeah, I'm assuming they're going to be having someone on those server stairs that you expect from Bank. It's always going to have someone playing the top of blue stairs to hold it off for as long as possible and then playing behind the, the server rack as well. It depends here because they also have the Tachanka as well, so they have a lot of ways to, deny for the usual play on Bank is to go for that server execute. But again, it depends. Maybe Mystic will play something totally different, go for maybe the hatches over by, Vault or by Elevator, because those hatches are a lot different now with the changes to Bank.
Did see Vivid upstairs earlier, just kind of roaming around. Was a little bit worried because I was like, Tachanka, this far up, could actually get caught off. But nope, he rotates back, and now Mystic will start moving in. We'll spot one attacker, Subarctic, and he is one of the only ones actually playing off of site, but he's sitting inside of server, 1, supporting Inrio on those stairs, and 2, providing him with a fallback position where he can still contest them if Inrio wants to run all the way back to site. So that's as far in terms of an extension, air quotes, if you want to call it that, as we're going to get from IF. But I also imagine that means we're not going to see anything too crazy in terms of takes from Mystic. Probably going to see Newer start trying to work a pick over in Garage, maybe take that control if it's free, and we might see an emphasis on the server stairs as well, try to push Inrio back or pinch him out. But at this moment, actually a heavy focus on main stairs, trying to open up the elevator hatch, the main lobby hatch, so still plenty of time, of course, to rotate. Minute 37 left, but a lot of options that Mystic are opening up for themselves.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of things to do here. They have smokes too, so they could try and go for maybe a smoke play to push down into Vault or push down into Elevator. Newer is going for a play into Garage because he needs some kind of misdirection to make it difficult. And it's going to be Giddy here try and hold off against Newer's. Maybe see the bullets go back and forth. But so far, it looks like elsewhere, I'm assuming they're probably opening up his hatches trying to drop down. They're picking him out. They see him as well. And 2 players actually join him. Noise is joined by the Yana of Sweater. And great stuff from Noise to go Giddy. With Garage control, they can cut off rotations between those hallways. And they can try and make this happen. So it looks like they're trying to grenade that shield, face that way from Vault or from Gold towards Vault. Doc going towards the main stairs, and with Garage in the hands of Mystic, it does kind of play. Now IF has to really figure out what's going on here. What is the play for Mystic?
Yeah, this is always where the defense starts to wobble when you lose that Garage control, and especially losing your Echo as well, who with no C4s on the board, all they have is those 3 toxic canisters, and as I was about to say, he's still at the forefront of the defense. Gun not only takes him down, but pushes on in, gets a second for him. Vivid, the other plant denial, taken down 2. So now all you have are these gunfights, and maybe the impact range for Subarctic doesn't send out 1, but Newers does have a lot of bullets sent his way. He's put down to 1 HP, but Arrow's a little bit trapped right now. But then moving inside of the site and on the bottom of main stairs, he was stuck there, tries to take the fight, removed from his position. Subarctic is just trying to play some kind of game and find some kind of angle that can favor him, but with everyone barreling towards his position, it's hard to try and deny Mystic from taking their first round.
I was about to say, that was just, again, there's so much emphasis on the hatches, and then the fact that then you lose your first member in Giddy in Garage throws IF for a pull. They have to try and focus on those hatches, thinking that's what's going to play from Mystic, because there's going to be some kind of smokes or flashes coming down those holes. But then you have Gunner coming from behind, coming from server in perfect fashion, the perfect time to catch 2 people off, take those 2 kills, and then now those last 3 players are just kind of scrambling around. You're trying to look for something to happen there, looking for any kind of kill. Arrow gets 1, but he's kind of by himself in an elevator. He's cut off there. They kill him. It's 1 player left. Not much you can do at that point. Great job from Mystic. Great way of throwing those diversions in the face of IF. Caused them to really, panic and not sure what's going on, allowing you to flank, allowing you to get those kills. So we get off to our next site, though, for IF. They're going to try open area, which has been more successful with teams as times go on in the new bank, per se.
And this is a site where if you want to, you can rotate upwards a little bit. You know, maybe try to contest stock, try to contest the upstairs area. But again, it can be very difficult. No likelihood if we're gonna see them hold a certain area, it will be inside of tellers. You can see a hole has already been made in that wall, so they'll extend a little bit to the north, but probably not too far beyond that. One big thing that they do have going for them, they have some extra intel. Inrio, he's taking up the mantle of Echo from Giddy. While the Echo was dispatched early on, I imagine here the Echo will be playing a lot more of a role inside of the site instead of extending out like Giddy did previously. But we could see Giddy get a little bit aggressive. He's downstairs right now. I don't know if that's where he'll play, but he does have that heartbeat scanner, so if the attack tries to enter vertically, which, let's be honest, it probably will be at least a couple players that go on that second floor. You can use that heartbeat scanner in any of the 3 C4s that the defense currently has to try to get a pick on either the Sledge, Sophia, anybody that sets foot up there.
Well, so far they at least start off by opening up that window, opening up that castle barricade on the window into sight, into open area. And so far, let's see, there's 2 members going upstairs to try and clear top floor and use that vertical pressure on the heads of the anchors from out of IF, and it looks like Vivid just expecting someone to push through electrical early. Maybe open up holes, some feed holes into electrical hallway or electrical little closet, see if you can find anybody. Noise has made his way upstairs, and nobody from IF is here though. Nobody from IF is really playing that. C4 has been placed upstairs, actually on Tones, who is jumping through the window, but too late. That Tones has already made his way through the building. That C4 does not get a kill. It's only 1 of 3, and they need to make one of these happen, because otherwise you're gonna let the havoc on you, as Doc is just gonna open up the entire ceiling on top of you.
That actually could have been a massive C4. That would have taken down the Thermite, the one with the diffuser, but I don't think that C4 is pre-placed. I think Giddy actually worked off the intel, threw it up, and unfortunately the timing was off because that another one is sent up. Does a lot of damage to Newers, but before that happens, he finds the Pulse, the player who was getting all of that intel on the top floor. So unless there's some default cans up or Inrio's put a yokai upstairs that's gone unspotted, they can't find that same amount of intel. Right as Subarctic puts a bullet through the skull of Gunner, Sweater sends a nade at the exact same time, but puts the Kate on the floor. Stark difference from Gunner's fate. They can pick Subarctic back up, and that's exactly what they'll do. Plenty of time to be able to do that. No exact control contesting it, but right as that happens, again, Newer's holding this upstairs angle. He catches Subarctic, rotating after being picked up, and Mystic, at least in terms of the man count, are in the lead.
Well, it looks like they're trying to open up this quad wall into kitchen to try to destroy his mute jammers to open the wall up. It looks like they're not able to so far. That allows for Inrio to play a position. He gets shot out, but Vivid has his back, takes out Tones. Doc gets a kill though, rushing into office though, and doesn't. Oh wait, does Inrio not know? Vivid doesn't know either. This is a great chance for Doc to get this kill, and he's pre-firing from office. Looks like Inrio may be in a hut. C4 comes up. Last C4 out. Noise takes a lot of damage, but not the kill. And so far, the last 2 members of Inrio and Vivid are just being barreled down by these attackers. Not sure where to look. Not sure where they're coming from. Grenade comes through. Doc sees the head of Vivid. Can't get the kill. Second grenade comes out. Doesn't kill him. He's still playing in this corner, shooting on the Sweater. There's 3 players just barreling down him. Inrio has no HP. Doc goes down finally to Vivid. Vivid will finish him off. Gets shot from the side from the hallway. Comes from the Sweater. Gets the kill. Inrio playing outside. He's got maybe a yokai left to give information. He has a diffuser in hand as well, so he has to play this out. But he's got no HP for a fight though. He's had no HP to win these 2 take if they just pinch him out.
He might not have enough health, but does he have these yokais? He keeps holding this gun and keeps trying to take these fights, so I imagine he's completely out of utility, but he still has a fighting chance. He's down Newers, and Sweater has to make the push. With the Fuser dropped at that double door, he has to take this fight. Inrio finishes him off. He's playing close with the angle, playing ring around the Rosie, but unfortunately he retakes the fight, peeks directly into Sweater, and the 1v1 in the second round go the way of Mystic. But Benny, I feel like there were some missed opportunities there in that round for IF to take an early lead, especially with those C4s, which sometimes missed entirely, but other times were almost on point.
I would say the fact that you had 3 C4s and none of them got a kill,
especially when some of them were very close. Like,
yeah,
Giddy definitely had the right idea. Or yeah, well, Newers definitely, but that was more so. I mean, Vivid was just trying to like kind of throw a C4.
Yeah, I guess the beginning.
He couldn't really
get
a good angle
in the beginning.
The one on the Tones, I feel like might have been a little bit, might have thought of it mid round, but it was a little bit of a missed opportunity because that could have easily been a kill.
Yeah, because they did well. They did, like, the fact that Vivid and Inrio, or not, what was it? Vivid and I can forget the names for God's sakes. I'm so bad at this. Vivid and Giddy or Vivid and Arrow at the end, they were just playing it well. They didn't really get kills and try and hold off at the end there. But the fact that so many people, the fact that there's nobody roaming. Like IF, I know they don't like them, they don't play aggressive, but you can't just not have any kind of roam in those rounds when you give so much. I know that, and at that point, because of that, they have to rely on the C4s to try and make a dent and make it difficult for Mystic on that top floor. But you saw the fact Newers, you saw the fact that Doc were just opening up the floor, make it so difficult for IF, and nobody from IF is playing the top floor. It makes it so difficult, and you leave it up to some 50-50 gunfights or just trying to shoot through the floor.
Thankfully here, you don't necessarily need to worry about verticality as much. There's no buck for Mystic, and maybe you have to worry about some nades from below, but the main focus that IF are going to have to deny are those 4 windows, but mainly the 2 inside of Office itself that they're going to have to deal with. Because the issue here, if you can get the bomb down on the attack and retreat outside, also, slight asterisk, you do have man advantage as well. If you just have 1 guy and IF has 4, they can, they can deal with that pretty easily, but if you can get to that repel and keep it even in terms of the man count once you get the bomb down, this round is basically done for the attack. So IF, they need to focus on stopping the pressure on those windows.
Oh, I remember this during the CL finals too, or the playoffs, was trying to deal with some Arctic in its position.
Yeah, I think it was them trying to deal with Spirits, but yeah, it was this position that just...
I don't know if it was, I don't know if Spider, maybe, I think it was Spirits, actually. Spirits didn't leave bank right. He just could not get rid of Spirits in his position.
Same spot though.
Here. Yeah, and he can impact trick the X-Gyros, he can impact trick any kind of, utility to push him out. Though he's only so many impacts, so it's only going to work for so long, but the fact that, I don't know, when the Spares played it, he was there for literally most of the round. So let's see how Mystic do here, trying to push out Subarctic in that same position. Because that's going to be the first part. Well, I say that Inrio's dead first, though elsewhere, Giddy's below trying to hold off a player pushing into open area. And so far, it's already a good start for Mystic. And elsewhere, where did Inrio die from? Was that from the windows?
I'm actually not too sure. It might have been because Tones has just leaped in, starting to get the bomb down. Subarctic has to immediately run back, take the person holding his cross, but he can't retreat into closet in time to deny the plant or save his life. Giddy down below also rotating up to join Arrow, but right as that happens, both fall immediately the moment they set foot on that second floor. I mentioned that it was imperative for IF in that round to deny the push in from windows. Maybe because Inrio fell, Mystic found their opportunity, and IF were not successful in that goal.
Yeah, I really wonder what happened because Inrio dies first, and by the time we even went to third person to see what was going on, they were already planting the diffuser. Like, I assume they pushed through the windows, or they just jumped through. They had to jump through windows. Like, that's the only place I could think of, because they hadn't opened up the soft wall. I don't think they did into sight, at least not that I could see. And Subarctic are still playing the hallway, so if they had run through, Subarctic would have pushed in a janitor earlier to deny the plant or deny the people pushing through. So I'm assuming they jumped through the windows, and there was no intel denoting to help the, to alert the other team members to push back into sight, is what I assume happened. But I don't know.
But even then, even if they didn't repel him through the windows, even if they opened the soft wall, I'm not quite sure about the timing. Based on how it seemed, he might have opened the wall. I personally didn't hear an exothermic go off, but my hearing also isn't the best sometimes, so that could just be on me. But either way, even whether they open the wall or on repel, they still got the bomb down, and you have the option to go to those windows as well as hold the breach. So it's more so the focus was once they get those positions, because especially those windows are always available to the attack once they get the bomb down. It's just unwinnable for the defense unless the stars align or the attack makes a major misplay. So they'll take a timeout. They've lost 3 rounds in a row, and I think that's a very good decision. Going 0-3 on your map pick is, well, never in the cards for any team, even though they might not be starting on necessarily the best side. Good for IF to try to regain the mental game, because last time, and the moment a timeout came, I actually don't remember Mystic or IF took it, but they had a minute to talk. It was way late in the game. It was already 5-3, 6-3 here. We can start to regain the momentum, start to get things back on track, and I think we might see IF pick up around here.
Yeah, I think it's not too crazy to see them win 3 in a row, but some of these rounds have been just, it seems like IF aren't really able to get aggressive at times. So they're just not playing aggressive in general to try and stop some of these players from the side of Mystic. Like, we can talk about that round on open area where they didn't play a role whatsoever, allowed Mystic to really play upstairs, and then the previous round where they didn't play aggressive per se, but it didn't seem like they knew when to get aggressive when Inrio died, to try and stop that push into sight. So we'll see what happens so far. We go back downstairs, where last time downstairs, the big part downstairs was the fact that they thought that was going to be a vault play. I thought that was going to be an elevator dropped on the side of Mystic, but then Gunner going for a flank in through server, getting those 2 picks to open the round up and allow that push from Mystic on other moments, especially to also Giddy dying inside of Garage. Those are kind of contention points for the round that IF have to wait to watch out for.
5 seconds to go.
Well, you can see them at least trying to prevent obstacles for Mystic once they go for that clear, and that's exactly the kind of thing that we want to see. A multitude of obstacles. Inrio will be hard to nail down because of that ERC and those drones. Same goes for the mute jammers. That'll likely at least 1 or 2 will be dedicated to that top floor. Some hatches also open up to allow for some aggression by the defense, and then a quick rotate back. You can see with all these reinforcements, 2 mute jammers placed on those open area walls, a castle barricade as well. They are not just, playing fluid or just, playing to deny some intel inside of open area. They're holding this position alongside contesting main lobby. They're trying their best to force Mystic to say, hey, all this control that you did and wanted to use last time, nah, you got to fight through all of us here. The first player who could give a pick opportunity is Inrio, but right as I say that, he rotates back down the moment Sweater jumps on in. So already they're playing aggressive, but they're not playing careless. They are playing it safe, and they're doing a good job so far.
Well, they push Inrio back so far with that jump up kid, and they also have the ping on from the Inox. Arrow gets the first pick, or gets picked up first by Newers, who's is pushed through lone and gets picked up by Subarctic, who regresses up the main stairs. Inrio elsewhere takes out Sweater, who was following him using jump applicator, and as the Yana. So that's two good picks for IF. Mystic gets one of their own, but it's on to Arrow, which isn't too crazy. It's the Rooney. Rooney probably put their laser gates up already. So it's a good start for IF, and now we got to see how Mystic plays in return. Now they still have this roam, like IF is still roaming upstairs in open area, so they're just gonna bypass it, even though they have the hatch.
Well, we see Doc rotating down. We saw a couple members of Mystic do something similar on the attack. It's not an uncommon thing to do. You just rotate down if the control outside of the site is clear. Take a couple, maybe 15, 20 seconds to try to find a pick. But also, if it's free, they're going to have to take this eventually anyway. They might as well do it now and try to use the angle. Unfortunately, a flashbang banks right in the face of Doc, but his nade was already likely going to miss before that, unfortunately, but maybe it did have an effect, I'm not too sure. Meanwhile, the man count is even. Gunner, on a solo clear of the top floor, has managed to find one, but Inrio is still here, looming over open area. That ERC, I'm not sure if he can gain the intel. He has one last Inox scanner to try to find the player playing there, but right now that means it's an effective 2v2 on the site. Look at this, Benny. 50 seconds left. Vivid is already almost out of toxic canisters, and once he uses the final one, all that's left is Subarctic C4, and if they can bait it out effectively, that could be the round. They can get this bomb down.
To me, it really depends on if Inrio can retake top floor, but as I say that, he goes down to Gunner. So now Gunner has control of that hatch on top floor. He can throw smokes, he can shoot down at the members in sight, and this should allow for them to bait out this last C4 from the side of Subarctic. Though the smoke just makes it seem like they're going for a push. Either him throws it, or if Tone throws it as well, he throws through smokes. So
nice.
now he has bait the last C4. Subarctic will throw it, and that's perfect bait. Goes down. Now Tones can get the plant down.
Good.
Doc can cover him. Above covering from Gunner as well. So at this point, it's Subarctic and Vivid who have to regress onto these members. Gunner's waiting for a chance. Subarctic goes down to Doc anyway, who has his cover, and Vivid is regressing top floor. Great shot from Vivid, but the plant's down at this point. It's a 1v2 where Vivid's got to find his way back to server and kill both of the members of Tones and Doc. Tones is low, but Doc has is full HP. So it's kind of a SMG 11 versus a L85 kind of thing.
It is that kind of a thing, but he does have a nice position on that server hatch. Tone's low HP. Drones spotted him out. This has become a little bit more difficult, especially now that both Doc and Tones, they're not separated. They're playing a crossfire. If Vivid drops that hatch, he'll land right in between them. Same with the stairs, though. They can both swing out, have one go for the play. Now that we've reached 7 seconds left, no more time for Vivid to make that defuse. But also, it was also likely going to be difficult in the first place. Most importantly, though, we have a disconnect from Inrio. So while Mystic move up 4-0, I imagine we'll see if Inrio will make it back, we might need to pause.
Well, they just use a timeout, though.
It just, yeah, but there's also tech pauses.
Oh, I guess we tech pause for that. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. No,
I guess we'll tech pause.
Tech timeout, tech pause, two different things.
Okay, tech pause, see if we can get Inrio back in the game. But that round again, they tried to go for the roam this time. And it started out decently well. They got 2 picks, traded a 2-for-1 there. But then Gunner reaggresses, gets a kill, evens it back up. And the big point for me was the fact that if Inrio could retake the hatch, can take control of open air from Gunner. If he can do so, they can stop the plant whatsoever. But because that, the engagement goes the way of Mystic, Gunner wins that fight. He has control of the hatches. He can throw smokes down, cause the last 2 players to waste the rest of their resources, which in the end, the only resource left was that C4 on the side of, I believe, Vivid or Giddy. And at that point, once the C4 is gone, you gotta take fights. They have the hatches. Yeah, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, that was a very good read by Gunner. Pretty standard. Like, all right, if he has the hatch, we just literally can't push in effectively. Got to take that fight. You lose it, that round could go entirely differently. But he's able to get that kill. Overall, good transition by Mystic, especially when it didn't start out too good. They got that opening duel, but IF quickly answers back, and they held on to that top floor for quite a long time. But really, you can attribute a lot of that to Gunner, because sure, he was by himself. Lose one of those gunfights, the entire round collapses, but sometimes you need a player who can make those plays. And because you got those 2 kills, especially the latter one to Inrio, that round makes it a 4-0 score for Mystic. Now, I don't know if we're going back just yet. You obviously see the going back arrows on the screen, but could still be waiting for Inrio to come out. Not too sure. But even so, Benny,
decided, but goddamn.
but yeah, that's kind of the issue. This is just a overall very good showing for Mystic on their attack. Do you think we'll see IF go basement again, or do you think they'll just continue hopping and maybe try open area and go for like a
Let's see.
redux?
Let's see. So on the ones that were the closest ones so far would probably be the open area
2.0
one. That was also
version.
just utter chaos.
That is true. And honestly, I kind of wondered when we saw Vivid down Doc, he peeked up and to like finish him off, but right as he peeked up to finish him off, that exposed him to Sweater, who took him down after that. I doubt it does, but do you think that round goes differently if he actually doesn't finish off Doc?
Because the problem here is, though, if he doesn't finish off Doc, though, and he tries to rotate and play ring around the Rosie, Doc is the intel, though, as a drone.
No, I wasn't even going to say that. Just like try and play his life in that position. More so like reload the SMG and maybe try to put a focus over towards Sweater pushing in from the window.
I guess. Oh, you talking about? Wait. So are you talking about when it was the 2v1?
So yeah. No, on an open area when it was in the 2v3, it was Inrio who was left in the 1v1.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Vivid was playing outside the small office behind like
Oh,
one of the
Doc
desks
pushed
on the
into
hatch.
office. Yeah.
And then he downed Doc, leaped up or like uncrouched, like stood up to finish off Doc. Right as he did that, by finishing Doc off, he exposed himself to Sweater, who killed him. Do you think that round goes differently if instead he doesn't finish off Doc and maybe just tries to play his life in that position? It was going to be difficult either way. I'm not saying it would have, but
yeah,
do you think it does?
Either way, because Doc knows his position at that point, so it's difficult. It could have been different, but it would have. It still requires him to then turn around and take a fight, which at that point they know his location. So that could have been different. That could change the round. It just depends. Again, that's a 50-50 gunfight. If someone jumps in and takes that fight, it's like,
that's the issue. They have the intel in his position. Vivid has to wonder where exactly they're pushing from. It was just kind of a food for thought kind of thing.
Yeah,
because again,
that's a dependent one. Yeah.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it came down to a 1v1, so this was a very close fight, and there were moments where you could look at and say, hey, that goes differently, maybe the round changes. For example, we talked about at the beginning, if Giddy maybe is more proactive with that C4, he was clearly watching that rappel the whole time, but at least we cut to him right as like his hand was out, so it seemed like he was throwing a C4 right then. Sometimes I know the observer can be weird, so maybe he had pre-placed it and I just didn't notice, but it seemed like he was reacting off of the intel instead of being proactive, so that could be a good change, but no, instead, we will see them go back down to basement. It's another adjustment in their lineup. Giddy moving back to the Echo, them moving back to that more bunker setup. Maybe we'll see them extend to the top floor, but I'm not too sure if that's the right move, especially after the success that we saw their Rome had. Sure, they ended up losing, but at least for the early round, it worked out very well, contesting open area.
It's interesting because there's only so much you can do with those electric claws. There's only 2 and there's 5 hatches for God's sake. So I wonder where they're gonna put the electric claws, because last time the big tension wasn't even the open air hatch. It wasn't the the hatch inside of the office. It was the fact that you had the vault hatch and the elevator hatch open. So if you I guess if you were to electric claw those 2, which you can't get off because you're not bringing the Maverick, it does allow for them to focus knowing that it's going to be a server take. That kind of, I'm not sure really, it kind of, I guess, forces Mystic to go for that kind of take, because they can't get the hatches open because they're not bringing the Mavericks. So this could be a good play from IF. You force them into going for server. You have the C4s available. You have the smokes available. You have to just play for the plant denial. But again, this depends on if Giddy can hold garage. Because if Giddy can't hold garage this time, and someone like Gunner or Newers takes control and uses that to flank and just cause chaos in the ranks of IF, it could still go away the way of Mystic entirely.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say, because I do think you have a very good point about that. IF can kind of force them into going for a specific take, since Mystic aren't bringing the Maverick. There's Thatcher's band. They can't take down those electric claws unless they can somehow, I don't know, fandangle a nade in there to somehow take down one of them. I don't really know, but you don't really have that option for a couple of these hatches. So for here, that could be a good pick. But if the round really started to unfold when they lost Giddy in garage, they took that control. They lost Inrio in server, took that control. Subarctic is now isolated in that position, or he's pushed back out of there. That was sort of the big problem. And Mystic went for that take. They still went for that take, and that is what undid them. So while they are forcing them to do something specific, it's something that Mystic have already done, and they'll use a strategy that won them the round prior. We still need to see some action by IF, because if they do, it could just be a repeat of round number 1.
Actually, one thing though, they only bring 1 heart breacher, so they can't get open the server hatch. They can't get open the walls into
I
sight.
just assumed they went to the Hibana.
Yes, that would have, because they didn't bring hand openers. They didn't bring another heart breacher, so they can't get open the walls into sight, into CCTV. They can't open the server hatch to make it difficult for them to rotate from server back to site.
Oh, that's actually
so. This kind of really, gates them into a certain take. Now, again, this depends on if they can hold or if that, gunner or somebody makes a crazy play. Because again, that's what we talk about Mystic. They can make crazy plays. They can make plays that will throw things out of whack. They can make something crazy happen. Grenade comes down to Sweater, looks to try to destroy the shield that was there last time. That, they play for Garage. Grenade comes out, they destroy the grenade, destroy the other shield. But no, actually, gets cut out. No, destroy Ally.
Oh. This is what we need to see from Inrio. Very good point about the hard breach, because now he can play, and, well, thankfully, I thought he was about to lose his life there, but that was a Gemini replicator. But here's the issue. His coverage, the person holding his position, has been taken down. Inrio is on an island. Gunner is behind him, and there are 3 players all at the top of these stairs. He has to play his life. He has no other choice. But Gunner is wreaking havoc inside of the site. Meanwhile, he tries to survive for as long as he can. They'll finally push on in. He gets one. He gets the second as well. That could be the game, despite Gunner's best efforts down below. It's now a 2v3. IF in the lead. Inrio, he's playing cat and mouse right now. Rotates into open area. Sweater has to decide, does he try to hunt after him, or does he go support Gunner on the site? Either way, if they want to go for the plant, they have to rotate back up. Sweater knows the position's there, but if he stays up here, he could also play the hatch as well, or rotate back down the stairs. A beautiful play by the smoke, and now Sweater's the only bit of coverage left. Planting inside of the smoke, there's no C4s. Could have a Yokai, but instead it's Arrow who finds the shots through the lack of vision. Sweater now with 1 second left manages to down 1, but on the back of an absolutely monumental play by Inrio, IF get their first round on the board.
Oh boy, that round. I guess the big thing is the fact that, well, Gunner makes the play. He's the person to open up the entire round for his team, getting those 2 picks, open up, taking control of server, cutting off the back off from the side of Vivid. But the big thing here is that 2 people push Vivid, and Gunner isn't there to play off of them for the refrag, because they're both walking. Sure, they're both swinging Vivid, but we've seen these in many, or not Inrio, my bad. I keep calling it Vivid because usually one on that site, but or on that role. But Inrio played the position perfectly. And then the fact that we always see that in every single old bank game is that one player playing at the top of those stairs, you cannot just double swing the player and expect to win that. That's still a 50-50 gunfight, especially using the SB11 or the shotgun. So the fact that Gunner wasn't there to refrag and take that control with the team, just throws it out of whack. And like you said, Inrio can now go upstairs and just play for the hatch later on if they don't pursue him. And the big thing was time was running out. They have to go for the plant. And Arrow's there. They have the intel with the Yokais to deny the plant because Gunner has to go for that point, go for the plant. And that's where it's over at that point too. So unfortunate that Gunner there was spectacular. He makes a play to make that even possible despite not having the exothermic charges to get into sight. But unfortunately, it was all for naught.
Mystic maybe anticipating they would go to either open area or the top floor. Now they will. IF will be on this open area, so that Thermite will be much more at home on this specific site as opposed to the other ones. See Vivid move to the Bandit, have some more hard breach denial, but Giddy with this pulse. Okay, Benny, this is the opportunity. This is what we want to see, is a little bit more proactiveness with the C4. Also realize Subarctic bringing the BP instead of the C4, likely due to the changes. You can destroy some gadgets a bit better, but I don't know. 3 C4s, that's always the comfort pick with the C4, but oh no.
Well, that's a yikes.
That ain't good.
That ain't good at all. That was, well, it depends. Again, this depends on whether or not they can actually, cause some chaos upstairs. If those C4s can land this time, they can still put them back in contention for this round. But losing your smoke later on when the smoke and the other player last time were the big points of waiting at the end of the round, getting taking heavy damage from above too. Again, this top floor coverage is huge, and once again, there's no real thing besides the C4s. There's nobody to stop them from just opening up the floor up, taking fights from above. Like, there is maybe one player there. No, they're joining it. Nobody's there for the moment. Nobody's upstairs. Nobody's playing for this. So now they can just open the floor up. Grenade comes out. Nobody's there. Oh, now Giddy throws a C4 on them, but actually gets shot by Sweater anyway from that same hatch. Actually, from the window. Actually, he just pre-fires.
You just wallbang them?
Yeah, he pre-fired. He pre-fired a baseline intel, I think, or something, because he just pre-fired through the window and killed them.
Well, Giddy had a 1 HP, so that was...
Yeah, the point where he grazed them.
Could have just swung his mouse, probably would have still gotten that kill. Spartic finally answers back. Gets Gunner. Saw how powerful Gunner can be on the Jackal, but when IF isn't really roaming that far off the site, his gadget isn't the most important. Maybe if they were extending a bit more up top, be a little bit better, but right now, it's not something you're going to be hurting too much if you're Mystic. You still have all of your key players and all of your utility as well. Sweater takes or removes himself from the gunfight right as Vivid peaks. Same thing happens. Sweater finally takes it, but neither player takes any amount of damage whatsoever. Here's now what IF are stuck with. Their pulse is down. They don't have this intel. They only have one C4. They are forced to sort of sit on the site and play the waiting game for Mystic to push in. And with this verticality that Newers has, he can hold all of these holes. It can be so big, but it's Doc and Sweater instead to come through. Sweater just playing this window, has gotten 3 kills so far. Vivid, right as Tones pushes in, can't react in time. A 5-1 for Mystic. And while that previous round looked really good for IF, and specifically really good for Inrio to make that work, really, overall, I think this attacking round, even in terms of the last one, the attacking half was all Mystic's game.
I guess it was interesting because we talked about the fact that, well, IF picked this and we saw their bank was really good previously. Just the fact that IF, unfortunately, don't like to aggress. They don't like to be on the roam. It just kind of plays as such a difficult defense for them on that half. And having a 5-1 half no matter the map doesn't look good for them. Depends, hey, we can go to IF's attack and maybe they're just going to do a 5-1 half just like Mystic did. We go to overtime. I could be crazy here.
Well,
but we'll see.
Here's what I will say. I mentioned the PB game earlier where they famously came back and won 8-6. The side that IF ran up the score on was their attack. So we do know they have good attacks on this map, and if they were looking really good during SI quals, I do think it's very possible. Again, I mentioned that Bank is their map pick. They can still come back. Bank attack still appears to be very comfortable for IF. The issue I'm foreseeing, Benny, IF can be very good on the attack. Certainly on this map. They have a record that supports that. But Mystic are a team that I haven't seen them on this map, but Mystic are a team that are much more likely to present obstacles and say, hey, IF, you need to clear me from this position. Or, hey, IF, you want to enter the building? That's cute. What if instead I shot you? And we didn't see that from IF really at all. Even in terms of the indirect entry denial, still didn't see it all that much. Didn't see it work, certainly. Here for Mystic, they are starting out in open area, so if IF can even work it in a way to repel in these windows and get the bomb down, they can get a first round on the board, and they do like to play for that plan, but that's exactly what I'm talking about. Somebody getting aggressive, IF not accounting for that, and Mystic setting the pace in the first 15 seconds. That's how they win this map.
That's something for me to see from Blaine, for God's sake. Peeking out that doorway. Oh, yeah. You said that too, and I was like, well, we've seen IF do well against aggression, but at the same point, the extreme amount of aggression we see from Mystic is what maybe IF hasn't entirely encountered when you see someone just peeking out of a doorway or peeking a window at the beginning of the round waiting for a kill. Something you see only in the ranked trenches. As well, Eric gets the kill on a new Warriors, playing that lobby position, playing ATM. That's a big one there. That's what we've seen from other teams as well. Usually catching someone off guard, either whether they're playing checkers or they're playing inside a banana, is a big point of contention for the site. And with that control he has, he can deny someone from peeking, the person on the rappel and north rappel, unless they jump out the window, if they do that. But these windows are the big point here, and how Mystic are going to deny this is the big part next for them, because Sweater here is just waiting for someone to peek it. Let's see if he can win this fight, though, and he won't unfortunately win it. Giddy will win that and deny, at least down him. He's behind the behind the freaking desk.
Sends out a nade, and it's unfortunately caught, but that is the nice thing about this site, is if you can even up the man count and still put pressure on those windows, you can win this round, even if you lose the opening duel and it goes untraded. Doc, the only one left. One repels on in. He's got to account for this, but oh, I thought he actually won the fight with Giddy, but the Sledge manages to recover and take him down. First round goes the way of IF, despite the pace immediately set by Mystic. A very fast-paced one at that. IF is still able to take the dimensions of the site, twist it to their benefit, win a pretty clean attacking round.
Yeah, started dirty for a second there, but once you see Arrow get the kill over by ATMs, again, we've seen that very often in other games too, just taking control of lobby, denying anything from trying to get a kill off of, from the lobby towards someone repelling. That just kind of solidifies the person repelling unless someone jumps out a window or for Swear or maybe just off site. But Sweater wasn't doing so. He was trying to stay on site, trying to get a kill on him repelling, and that's a difficult fight. Upstead and repels are just the most difficult fight in this game sometimes. And unfortunately, after that, once they have control of the site, after killing that person on site, they just jump in, and you gotta take fights with people on site who are just walking into the building or just jumping in the building.
And maybe on basement they won't be able to do, or maybe Tones or anybody on Mystic will be able to do this nearly as easily as they did. But Benny, fun fact by the way, unless I'm trolling in some area, Mystic are currently 7-0 for opening duels in this map. They have won every single one, and in only one round was it. Only one round it was traded out. So this entire game, on both attack and at least for the first defense on their second half as well, they have done a good job at opening things up and being, hey, You want to play your game? No. We're going to make you play ours. We're going to make you adapt to what we're doing. That's exactly what Gunnar talked about in his interview, in fact, is sometimes T2 teams needing to adapt to what T3 teams do. When they take the gunfights, make the dumb play, go for the spawn peek, like we just saw, I believe that was Tones do a second time in a row. He rotates off and he does get a kill like he did last time, but he's still something that the attack has to deal with, and if he gets a kill, something that IF will have to catch up and account for.
Yeah, especially on this bottom floor site, we've seen teams roam, and we'll see Mystic just run around the top floor, causing IF to use their drones and figure out where these players are at. Takes some time to really figure things out, and that's a great shot from Tones. Can Tones get this kill? No, behind him. Arrow playing the windows, covering some Arctic. Great plays from IF to cover each other on this play. Now Gunnar is maybe the upstairs. I'm not sure anyone else is roaming with Gunnar from. Actually, Newers maybe is with him. Actually, Newers maybe downstairs in the basement.
Is this gonna work?
If Gunnar doesn't get droned here, I will be.
I don't think they saw him.
Astonished.
We saw Vivid's drone drive by. It might have seen him and didn't do anything, but based on how that desk is made, I don't think they saw him. No, you can see they have no idea. Subarctic sprinting around. They take this down. There are 2 hard breachers, but if you take down the ace, you can do a very quick and easy dent. And we saw how problematic attacking basement is when all you have is a thermite. If Gunnar can get even one of those kills on one of the hard breaches, that could be the round right there, or enough to even the odds once again. You'll finally creep up. Uncrouch as Giddy drops. I believe there's only 1 player left on the top floor. But since he's playing this so patiently, no. Now everyone has dropped except for Inrio, who's on the opposite side of the map from Gunnar. He'll slowly make his way down the stairs like a kid trying to spot Santa on Christmas Eve, hoping they don't hear him. He's going to try and find his prey. Something a little bit more sinister than the example I gave.
And so it depends on how good IF has for flank drones. Do they have any flank drones? Do they have any? No, they don't. And oh, there goes down Arrow. It's not the perfect player you want to get because the hard breaching is still available. But maybe that,
still lying.
The E1Ds could have helped him later on in the execute. And now Gunnar is afoot. He's inside ATM. He's now caused IF to think about, do they have to go hunt down Gunnar, or do they go for the site instead? Inro's made his way downstairs on the server. They're going for the play. They're going to play site instead and leave Gunnar to his machinations, which could be a problem later on.
Well, I said you had to go. You don't necessarily need to go, but it is a gambit to try to take down Gunnar and find him somewhere where you really don't have a lot of time to get this intel. Instead, they'll go. They will start putting the bomb down. You can see Newey's rip his C4, but they not only bait it very well, see Giddy not get a kill off of it. He actually did go search for Gunnar, but most importantly, IF does bait out that C4, but it's not successful because Newers rips it and now still has it in his hand. 2 members of IF on low HP, only 20 seconds left. No smoke canisters either. So if somebody peeks, the attack doesn't have the benefit of having a nice angle. They do still have to take these fights. He sends it out. Can it land? Can it shoot and land? No, it will not. A double kill for the Thunderbird. Subarctic goes for a Hail Mary drop, but it's all for naught. Mystic on match point, 6-2. IF need to come back for 4 rounds in a row. It would be a bit of irony, Benny. They've lost this map 6-2 before because of a comeback. And if they do the exact same to Mystic here, it'd be a hell of a storyline to go on to map 3.
That would be crazy if they do it again, but let's talk about the beginning though. First, IF, great job on doing with the first roamer, having someone playing both the west windows and north windows to cut, well, the west windows cover the north window player. Great job to IF. But then Gunnar goes left unchecked. They don't drone him out inside of checkers. He's playing underneath the desk. They just didn't drone it, unfortunately. He gets the kill onto Arrow on the Lion, which E1s could have helped here because they were trying to throw C4s from red. But unfortunately, he goes down. Though he does get killed later on, it still causes concern for IF. They have to rush into server and push site expecting a flank. And at that point, there was some kind of rush there. In Rio, he's trying to peek and deny the C4, but the C4 wasn't really with it. It's just the gun in his face. He goes down in that engagement, leaving the planter trying to just bait out that C4. Newers plays it perfectly. He rips the C4 press and throw it. He keeps ripping it over and over again. And time again, IF are just kind of rushing there, trying to get that plant down, and they go for it finally. They go for the plant. He's trying to get covered by Giddy, who's just waiting there, but the C4 kills both of them because Giddy could not shoot the C4. He didn't go through aim labs enough.
I suppose not, but then again, it's a bit of a difficult one to land if you're not able to shoot it in the first part of the arc. It is landing directly at your feet, so that can be a little bit awkward, especially if your mouse is like touching your chest. It's like, well,
I'm just playing fun, but no, that's a hard C4 to shoot. That is.
No, I thought you were very serious right there. I was very offended. I was unhappy with what you just did. Tones going for the exact same thing he did in round 1. Gunnar going for the exact same thing Tones did last round. So, both a bit of a repetition and plagiarism going on all at the same time. One player outside that square window. Ooh, Tones is like, you shooting? I'll take an angle, take a gunfight. But unfortunately, Giddy rotates back down, picks up a drone, and Gunnar is doing The same thing. Which, to be fair, you might say, that's stupid. Why is he doing that? Well, they didn't drone him last time, and they didn't find him there, so... Is it really stupid? Because IF don't know where he was hiding. You know who does know? Us and Gunner. And we'll keep his secret.
Let's test now. We're going to test IF if they can actually drone him out this time. Again, they didn't see his feet.
No shot.
Man, dude. I guess it's hard to see because it's
shot.
like he's got like black shoes on and he's sitting underneath a dark desk. I guess it is difficult to see, but if they're going to kill Tones and Gunner once again is going to go unnoticed. We'll see how much terror Gunner does this time to IF, but we'll see if Tones gonna drop down. He's gonna back off, and it's gonna seem like now that top floor is clear for IF to take. And now they're gonna go to work, not knowing that Gunner is hiding underneath the desk, awaiting a chance once again to kill somebody unaware. Oh boy.
I don't know if any of you watch chess, but today there was a blunder of epic proportions, and the player actually didn't realize he blundered until too late, and unfortunately here, it's the exact same situation. Gunner does get a kill.
It's a good kill.
Onto the sledge. It's a good kill. It's a good kill at that. He was playing for his life there in all likelihood, and while IF do get the trade, they take down the sledge, the key source of vertical play, and that's the C4s that never could land for IF. They work here. There's still some hard breaching. They do have a thermite to open up these walls, and frankly, on this site, it's not the most important, but it's a 3v3. And with a minute left, Mystic have time to start setting up, but they are out of C4s. They don't have a lot of plant denial either, or to counter any vertical play coming out from IF, they have to take these fights. So for IF, they have lost their sledge. They have lost the ability to make as much vertical holes as they wanted, but they still have nades. They still have 2 EU1Ds, but Newers has crept up the server stairs, just like Gunner previously, slowly creeping into a position that the attack doesn't expect. Pivot is watching it. He knows somebody might be there, but he rotates off. He's planning the exothermic, and they simply do not know. A 2v3. 30 seconds left. They cannot open up that wall. Tones can play in there with impunity, and likely will live to the end of the round unless IF can manage to pull something out of a hat. Make a miracle happen. Inrio sends a nade down. It lands right at Newer's feet. He can't rotate off in time. Beautiful play by Inrio, but we're in the red zone now, and he's the only one left. Intel, one player's position. He lands some shots, lands more through the wall, but Tone's behind his shield. It's not him to finish him off. It's Sweater to end map number 2 and give Mystic the 2-0 victory. And Gunner was wrong. Or maybe he was right. IF certainly might be a difficult team to play, but for Mystic today, it was just another day at the office.
Maybe it was so difficult in his interview that he was like, all right, guys, we're just going to go. We know we're playing them first game. We're just practice. And they just had it down perfectly, both in Oregon and more so even on Bank. And that was IF's map pick. So if they were practicing for IF, or maybe they were just practicing Bank in general, they did a spectacular job of showing it today.
And I will say, while IF unfortunately will lose, they will go down 2-0. Especially on Oregon, we saw quite a lot of very good play from them to start out and to set as a trend going forward in SCS. Oregon had a lot of really good moments. It was Bank, which of course it's fitting that this was the map they lost more dramatically, and ironic that it was their map pick, but that's how it goes sometimes. Here, there were definitely a lot more, I feel like, weaknesses and missteps in their play. Not being very aggressive on that top floor, or if they don't want to get aggressive, and not really denying entries there all that well. And the one time they actually did hold a floor, and like hold the floor above the site and present players that IF or Mystic needed to clear, it almost worked. And it really only did it because Gunner just happened to win 2 gunfights. Sometimes that happens, but it was an overall good strat. But they deviated from that so quickly. They kept trying for the same strategy on every single site, and every single time Mystic said, hey, you're giving us free control, we'll take it, and we'll capitalize and motion and make movement off of it. So overall, great showing from Mystic, and that is our first series done. Benny, you have any final thoughts on IF taking their first loss and Mystic taking their first W?
I'd say Mystic looked like they were prepared. Maybe, IF maybe should have brought the Kaij sooner on that defense half, but hard to say. They didn't maybe know they would bring the Maverick or not bring the Maverick really. So hard to say, but definitely the fact that we see a CL team go down to a underage team or an amateur team is great to see, because now they see that's the kind of practice you need for the upcoming CL season.
And again, it also goes to show that, just because you challenge your league doesn't mean your position or the victory is nearly as secure as you might think. But that's our first series done and dusted. all done. We're going to go on to map number 2, or series number 2 shortly. But before we go, just want to thank another one of our sponsors, Mavix Gaming Chairs. As you saw in the video before, plenty of high-level people endorse Mavix. We have Hex, who are, two famous names, especially the former on Optics. So this isn't your run-of-the-mill chair company. There are a lot of big names behind this. And if you want a Mavix gaming chair for yourself, which, Benny, you're always the one to bring this up, doesn't it have AC in it? There's air conditioning in it? That's just...
Can I get a massage in it too?
That actually... Hold on, wait. Actually? Yo, wait, hold on. That'd actually be kind of sick. I'm not even gonna lie. That'd be awesome. You can have that one for free. That's a Benny and Link's freebie right there. We won't charge royalties for that. But if you want a Mavix gaming chair, go to mavix.com/NerdStreetGamers and use the code NSG55. That is NSG55 to save $55 off your purchase of a Mavix gaming chair. So thank you very much. But as I said, it's the first series done. We're going to say goodbye to Benny of course.
Well, there. Before you say goodbye to me, though, we got someone to talk to first. We got a player.
Oh, you're right.
Someone who has just done some crazy. Actually, I don't know who we're interviewing, but somebody on that team has got to be interviewed and talk about what they did to win this. Because my God, they played great on IF's map pick, and I got to wonder, did they really prepare for it, or is that just how good Mystic is?
I'm sure it's a little bit of both. I'm still in qualifiers mode, so I'm not used to all this, interview stats, all things like that. But we do have quite a few things. We have Gunnar on the line, I believe we'll have later on, that we can talk to and discuss how exactly the map went out. But we also have statistics we could show you to see how exactly that whole series went for Mystic. So we will take a little bit more time, to wait and figure out what happens. But I do believe we are waiting to have Gunnar on the line. He will be the person we talk to. I'm sure it'll be an entertaining interview because Gunnar is usually free content whenever he's on the screen. So we can take a couple seconds, talk to Sean. He can dissect his victory 2-0 over Investigation File member 7-4 on their map pick, 7-2 on the opponent's one. I mean, Benny, it was an impressive scoreline, and knowing Gunnar, I'm sure he'll have some words to say. So hello, Gunnar. Can you hear me? Don't know if he can. Don't believe. There he is.
There you go.
There. Hello, Gunnar.
Hello.
I'm finally casting you. I know it took a long time. I'm very sorry about that. Please don't be angry with me. Okay. But so we saw in the interview, just to get right into it, in the interview that aired during, I believe, the break between map 1 and 2, you talked and mentioned that Investigation File was definitely one of the harder teams that you expected to play and to potentially beat in SCS. Did that influence your prep at all? Did you go in specifically trying to target more of IF and maybe counter-strat a little bit, or was this just another day at the beach?
Yeah. Well, yeah. We had a little 20-minute talk with our coach, and he told us what they did on Oregon, and everything he said they did. So we kind of Town just kind of called stuff. But as far as map bans went, we banned Club immediately because we saw they were a really good club team, and then they took us Bank, and we've never played Bank before in our entire life as a team. So we're a little crap. We thought we were probably gonna lose that map, but then we got Cafe. Cool. And then it turns out we're beasts on Bank, so it doesn't even matter.
Well, I know one big thing we talked about was obviously, you guys, as has just been admitted live on air, Gunnar and Team Mystic have never played Bank in their life, apparently. Might be hyperbole, we don't know, but when you went in, so you had done obviously work on Oregon. Had you done work on IF on Bank? Did you expect them to not necessarily be as aggressive as they did, or did you just expect it free map control?
We watched their game versus Parabellum, or I watched their game versus Parabellum a long time ago. So in the back of my head, I kind of knew what they did, but we've never. I said if we go Bank at the playground and just pick ops you and go kill them. I was calling Tones was calling some really good attacks on the top floor. That rush into I think he ran into Janitor. I'm not really sure. It was just all on the fly type stuff. But Tones does a really, really good job of just calling stuff like that, so it really helps. But yeah, they gave us map control kind of just based off their ops. They did a lot of bunkering until they did that one roam. So that was about it. We just kind of just played the T3 style and crouch walked around headless, and it worked.
Well, that's another thing you brought up in the interview, that SEAL teams sometimes have to adjust to the T3 playstyle, and I think you guys definitely showed it today. Maybe if it were a different map, would have gone a little bit differently, but you certainly treated us all to a show on Bank. So, you 2-0, got your first win in SCS. Before we cut this off, anything else you want to say to any potential teams? After all, I believe 2-0 statement over a CL team. Pretty good statement. Anything you want to say to add to that?
Zeno and Whitlock, I promise you, when you play me, I'm gonna smoke you. You guys are terrible.
Why you gotta dunk on them like that? They're former teammates.
Love them. It's like tough love. But like anyone that supports us or anything, I appreciate, and yeah, we'll be back for whenever we play.
Well, thank you, Sean. Gunnar, always a pleasure talking to you. Hope to see you more in SCS, and congratulations on your first victory. It was a damn good one.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
Thank you. Well, I have to say, aside from the tough love, as you said, towards Zeno and Whitlock at the end, actually, it's fairly pleasant conversation.
Yeah,
with, Gunnar, as we saw.
That was great to hear. The fact that they've never played Bank, though.
Benny, I even said it. I was like, Benny, I mean, obviously, I'm sure there are some amateur teams that do practice Bank, but I was like, Benny, this is T3. If I remember anything from my old days, the new maps sometimes take a little bit to catch on. So obviously, I was right.
Yeah.
But as we see, you can, at least for the stats, we can see how dominant Mystic were on the entry the entire time. Worst stat was Doc, 0-1. Everything else, Newers, 3-0. Gunnar, 2-0. Sweater, 1-0. Beautiful play across the board.
Was the 2-0 from Gunnar when he was crouched, when he was lying down underneath the desk?
Oh God, wait, I actually
yeah, both of his entry kills when he was lying underneath the desk and they didn't show him.
Wow, that's a hell of a way to be 2-0 on entry, I suppose. But here we also see the full stats from over the course of the series, and of course, as you can see, obviously Bank did a lot of the stat padding, I will say, but Mystic were very good on the entry, whereas with IF, 2-5, 2-4, 2-3. As Gunnar mentioned in the interview, because of the ops and the setups that IF were often bringing, they were kind of constraining themselves to playing a bit more concentrated on the site, which allowed Mystic to set the pace a lot easier. Get that map control, and if somebody tried to peek up, maybe retake, they were cut down, or if the enemy team took map control, somebody who will be named nameless, but Benny just said it was Gunnar, would just sit behind a desk and get the entries that way.
And that means too, the fact that like Tones is calling out their playstyle based on their ops is really good though. And the fact he knew that nobody's gonna roam on the side of IF, that from the ops they'll bring during the pick phase, and they're just like, all right, let's go take map control, let's go play lights out.
Well, they certainly did. And overall, again, congratulations to Team Mystic. Very solid victory to start out for their run in SCS. But now, got ahead of myself earlier. Now we will be saying goodbye to Benny, because as I said, he has an adult job, as opposed to me, who is still in college. So, we'll say goodbye to Benny, and before we go, I will also say, you better tune in for the next series. It's Wichita Wolves versus Surf Esports, and it will be a hell of a series if this one was anything, maybe even a statement from Surf. But until then, we'll see you in just a few minutes.